Welcome to Bonehead Weekly. 400 times.
That brought a tear to my eye. Chad, do you have any emotional response? Anything?
I'm dead inside.
Chad
Well, I
has no
mean,
responses.
that right there, that brought a tear to my eye. That was, yeah,
So
very moving.
I don't know what's about to happen. This is our woo, pop the confetti, pop the fireworks, pop that whatever you would like. It is our 400th episode, and I'm not for sure what's about to take place.
In all fairness, that sums up most of our episodes.
Well, I usually at least know that I'm going to talk about two or three things, and actually, right now, I don't. Only thing I have to talk about is the complaints that I didn't realize that this would be during the NFC Championship NFL game when I said, "Yeah, sure, Sunday night at
Hey,
9."
Joe, you know what's going to happen depending on who wins?
Zero effect on my life.
Yeah, your life is not going to change at all.
I
Unless
know.
you placed a bet, in which case you're
You
probably
know
going to lose
me.
some money.
You know me. You
Yeah,
know me.
you didn't place a
I
bet.
did. No, I didn't. Is my toupee slipping right there? I think it
No,
is.
it's not. That's.
That's a what? Is it? Can you, Chad, get real close?
I
Get
don't need to. You're
look
losing your hair. I
look
don't
past
have to
the
get
liver
close to see that.
look past the liver spots.
Yeah, you need to watch your sun. Are you using sunscreen? Now this is important.
No, but there is no sun.
Well, but there has been before, and you go out in it, which is I try not to.
Yeah, I do
I
like the sun. I do
I
like the
don't.
sun. Here it
Uh
comes.
it is for suckers.
It is not. You need to get more vitamin D. Can I give you some?
No,
Are you sure?
no, I'm good. I'm
Positive.
good. Yeah,
You want
I've
vitamin
been
D?
checked.
I doubt that you've been checked by an actual professional.
Well, I mean, I had my physical not too long ago. This is going to be a
That was
thrilling
just
thing to
some
edit.
random homeless dude with gloves looking for a good time. And I don't blame you. I'd have done the same thing. Our friend Barbara, who somehow became the curator.
Archivist, curator.
Yeah, I say curator of
Yeah, yeah.
Bonehead Weekly and it's all of its episodes, who remembers more about it than we do, is going to be our moderator, our interviewer, our special guest. Actually, we're her special guest for this special Bonehead, this special episode of Blossom.
I would
Yeah,
say this week on a very special episode.
a very special
We have to
episode.
tell Chad he was cloned from James Carville.
A very special episode of Family Ties. We're going to find out one of us isn't the real father.
I
And
thought that would
also,
be
Chad
Maury
has to go to
Povich.
that bike shop from Different Strokes. He doesn't have to,
Oh
but he keeps
no.
asking if he can, so
Why?
we're going to
Why,
let
Mr.
him.
Drummond? Why? Why did I buy them drugs? Why? Why, Mr. Drummond?
July will make 9 years that you
Yeah.
guys. It's almost like you've collectively raised a child, and Bonehead Weekly is that child.
A neglected, forgotten child.
Yeah, I was gonna say we did a bad job.
We're still waiting for the state to come pick it up.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
who's to say this is a bad job? This might have been a good job. I mean, the viewers would tell you, right?
The viewer.
No, they never leave comments.
We we
You.
left
You would tell us.
we did prove that you can raise a child off the grid.
So, since Stranger Things is just finished, and something that was brought up was on that rooftop when all the adults are saying, "Hey, we're gonna get together every month," and
Yeah.
there was a kind of a sadness to that because you're like, "That's not true.
It's
They're
never
not
going to
gonna get
happen.
together. They're not gonna get
Yeah.
together every month." But you guys are all friends. You've been friends since college days, and now with the podcast, something that brings you together every week. Would you say that that was something that has stitched your friendship a little bit closer?
I, I don't know how the other two feel. I think sometimes, if nothing else, it's it's made it it's made it more difficult sometimes. I mean, there's times where
Yeah.
I've been aggravated. They've want to throw rocks. I don't know. The other two haven't. Am I the only one who's like
No, no.
something?
I
I don't
mean,
think it's made it more difficult. I think it's just more.
no.
Forcing you to get together every week, whether you
Well,
like it or
It
not.
does do that. It does
Yeah.
do that.
but I think sometimes it's a challenge too because and it's a good challenge. I mean, this is complaining about, I asked for Chardonnay and they gave me I don't know anything fancier than Chardonnay. Uh but
I'm having a
they
glass of port.
hard to port. Anyway,
I'll be
I,
here
I
to
think
starboard in a second.
I think the challenge is that we have to we're doing an episode, right? So we have to get together and do an episode. and it sometimes means, okay, we got to find time to get together to do an episode, which, I mean, there's times when it would just be easier to hang out, and we've been told we should just film us hanging out, but I don't think it would actually work as an episode because it'd be us watching TV, and
I mean,
that's
it's
not
not
real.
much different.
Yeah, except there's a lot more man fall down. I don't know. It's depending on what we're watching, I guess.
Also, a lot
But
more inappropriate jokes when we're just hanging out.
by the way,
That's
speaking
true.
of inappropriate, Chad, what's your shirt? I'm sorry. I'm wearing Perry the Platypus, by the way, if
Oh,
anybody's
so it's
interested.
it's so those who are listening to us, I'm wearing a hoodie that has a He-Man reference, but it's not He-Man, it's
Oh,
Guzman.
it's Louise Guzman. Yes, thank you.
Uh,
I thought, but I was like, okay, sorry. That was a non sequitur, but it was going to drive me insane. Well, further.
I actually thought it was Fisto holding the, or was it Fisto who he looks kind of like?
Yeah, Fisto. I could see
Yeah.
that. If you're familiar with Luis Guzman, he's one of my favorite actors. He's this short Hispanic guy, kind of chubby. He plays Gomez Adams now, but they put his head on He-Man's body.
So you've
So,
got that on. You've got Harry the Platypus. And actually, I went and dug through the closet and pulled out the shirt that I wore all the years for most of the episodes,
No
beginning of one,
way.
almost through it. Yeah, it's
Aw, nostalgia.
yeah, a little nostalgic. I love this is one of my favorite. This is actually maybe my favorite or one of my favorite shirts of all time.
So, Chad, what do you think? Do you
I
think
can't
it
get rid of
strengthened
it.
your friendship by creating the podcast?
In a way, yes, because like Joe said, there are episodes where I just want to just I'm angry because of being dismissed for something or somebody saying something snide, and I just want to walk away. But at the same time, I realize that these are my two best friends in the world, and I look forward to
you
like
shouldn't feel
talking
that
to
way,
them.
Chad.
Yeah, I
Did it
know.
count?
I
Did it
look forward
count?
to talking to him during the week. Before it was just us hanging out when we could.
At some point, you did change the name from
It was Bonehead Humor.
Bonehead Humor. But now, where'd the Bonehead Radio come from? Because in the beginning, I did see something that said Bonehead Radio.
Uh,
So we went from Bonehead Humor, and I think we did float Bonehead Radio for an episode or two because I
Maybe that's
yeah.
believe Joe came up with the slogan Bonehead Radio on the internet. Uh, and
Now, was it Bonehead Radio in on TV or in video?
something like that. I
It
just
was
knew it.
it was whatever it was. It was stupid.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I was going to say asinine and give you more credit,
Yeah,
but stupid works.
I
it's
think
The
pretty dumb.
I think Bonehead Radio was just pretty much a given when we started this, and then Joe came up with that extra part of it. Yeah.
Because
and
I don't
so
originally, I
remember
think
doing. I don't remember.
Joe, I think you said Chad didn't necessarily want it to be a YouTube thing, but it ended up being like, hey, we're just gonna have it on
Yeah,
all
because
three
I have no
platforms.
desire for people to see me.
Yeah,
Oh,
Chad
sorry,
didn't want to
Chad.
do a visual. Chad didn't want to do a visual part of it, which is funny now considering all these years later and all the conventions and stuff. As they know what he looks like. He's filmed, you can't miss it. But Chad didn't want to do visual. Haley, it would have been. I know we didn't do it, but I wouldn't have minded having Haley on here, and maybe we can bring her back sometime later. Haley
that's a
Salyers,
500th
because
episode, I think.
There
That
you
would be good.
go.
We just got to
I
make it
don't.
another 100
Yeah.
episodes.
Oh my gosh. Or I've told Barbara, we were talking about this the other day, and I said, this is, to me, it can be whatever it is. I mean, 426, right? That's a good number to end on too, whatever. And not that we're ending, but I think it's one of those things where, and we're not as, I've often said, and I think the other two agree, we're not as popular as we wish we would be, but we're way more popular than we ever thought we would be, that we could be.
Yeah, because before October hit, as far as like YouTube numbers go, it was less than 300. Now it's up around 315 as we speak.
Yeah, but it's not even that. It's just having people who actually watch it and say things. Chad's right. We don't get a lot of comments. A lot what we get is actually, or and it may be just because of the convention stuff. I get a lot of people in person, but I did want to say, and I don't know if this is in any of your questions, Barbara, but I don't know that it would have happened without Haley Salyers.
Your producer
Yeah.
in the beginning,
I think she was around to 60 or 70.
anyone going back into the archive of the episodes, if you're hearing this episode for the first time and you're curious about it, you go back to the beginning and you can see that there was a little bit of difference because I think she went in and edited things too and created promos and such.
She did.
And Joe's in charge of that now. Why? Because Joe is the extrovert and the other two guys are introverts and they're just like, eh.
I would put it out as a raw feed and say best of luck to you all. But the other side of that, and I do want to give Haley credit. We were all in person at that point. So once a week she schlepped to the hidden basement
Yeah, it
and
was usually in my basement.
recorded. I mean, so it was all done. And then yeah, she would edit it and transfer it and do all that stuff. And I'm not kidding. Seriously, if it ever falls to me, it's congratulations. Here's the raw feed. Enjoy.
Well,
And
it's
so
pretty much what we do now anyway.
well,
So
yeah, to a point, but I mean, I think that so I just want to give her credit for that because I mean that was yeah, I mean we started out we started out with nothing and now we have slightly more than nothing. But I mean there was we've never turned a dime off of this to my knowledge unless the others are hiding it.
we were kind of popular at first, but only popular when she would post it to, you guys remember this when it was on Facebook? So
Yeah,
if she
yeah.
posted on Facebook, people would want to watch it on Facebook, but they wouldn't go to YouTube or SoundCloud or iTunes or other places for some odd reason. I don't know.
There
I
was
just,
also a period where we were huge in the Middle East when it was on Facebook, and I honestly think it was people in the military, and it was, oh look, they sound like the idiots I know back home
I
talking
have no
about
idea.
movies and stuff. But you could if you advertise on Facebook because I used to do the Facebook boosts to get our word out, and it would tell me where I was getting the most clicks, and it was there was one I forget the episode, but we were huge in Turkey.
Our audio version, for some odd reason, in the Middle East and some places in Europe,
Going back to Bonehead Humor, we changed it from Bonehead Humor because of Mick Strawn, right?
that's absolutely. Mick was the first person, and we have to give him credit. He was our first guest was Ken Boggle.
Yeah.
And Ken's been great to us over the years, but the person who had industry connections and could get us guests and would be a guest and for some odd reason took a shine to us was Mick Strawn. And if you don't know, he's the production designer on Nightmare on the Street 3, 4, a bunch of Chad Smiling.
I just want to say I hated that title from the beginning, and I said
Did
we need
you?
to change it. And they both said no, we're going to keep it Bonehead Humor. And then Mick Strawn and then his buddy Andre, who we interviewed as well, made a comment about why the hell they call it Bonehead Humor. Like, yeah, maybe we should change it.
Well, we never
Well,
had a
now I
good
want to know how
alternate
much did Chad
either.
pay those guys
I
to
know,
say so?
and that's another reason why Haley was detrimental to our show because she came up with the title Bonehead Weekly because we didn't have another one. She said, "How
She's
about Bone?"
detrimental.
Instrumental. Did you mean
Instrumental,
Instrumental.
instrumental.
I was like, damn, I was pissed, but you threw her under the bus way more.
No, no, no.
My
I
brain
was
was doing
pissed.
this. That's
Chad
was
tremendous.
pissed when she
Malapropism
left.
Jennings?
I still miss Haley. Yeah, but no, I mean she's the one we were in the basement going, well, what can we call it? Because I hated Bonehead Humor from the beginning. I'm like, this is, but I didn't have an option.
And real quick, the caveat with Bonehead Radio, if you gentlemen remember, there was already one.
All I ever wanted to call it because it's called Bonehead because of Chad. And that's all I ever wanted to call it was Bonehead.
Yeah.
And then we couldn't do it because so many people had taken so many different. And Chad, do you want to talk about why it's called Bonehead?
So my niece, who's now in her 30s, I was really close to her growing up when she was real little. And one thing I would play with her, I'd call her Snotface. I said, "Come on, Snotface, let's go do something." She goes, "Okay, Uncle Chad."
He
And
still
then
does it
as
at Thanksgiving.
and then oh yeah, every now and then I'll call her Snotface, and she still does this back. But one day I said, "Okay, Snotface, let's go." She goes, "Okay, Uncle Bonehead."
Oh,
And I just broke out laughing, and it's still 30 years later. I'll still call her Snotface, and she goes, "Love you, Bonehead." So when we were in college, like one of my projects for my classes was create a TV show to air on the campus network, and so I created a show called Bonehead Television, which was just a
got,
skit show.
got me
And Joe,
so much trouble.
I got in Joe so much trouble because he was the only one. Him and two other people were the only ones who really did anything with it with me.
I don't regret it. It was a combination of that and another thing we did that my full-time job, because at this time I had graduated, you hadn't graduated yet, but I graduated and I was working at that institution, and my full-time job was overseeing the campus channel. Was part of my duties that was out of housing, and that's a short version of a very long story. And there's a couple of things that aired on it that got me pulled into a meeting
But
at 24
luckily,
years old.
once again, one, two, three, watch this. Luckily, the people that attended that meeting had taken the time to watch the content and really understood it completely and didn't just dismiss it out of hand.
Yeah, where
So,
I did a whole thing about all the different things you could do with spam. Yeah.
so funny enough, the thing that got the channel greenlit truthfully, was that they saw what Chad did, and I was in a lot of it, and they were like, "Oh, that'll be cool," but they actually didn't want that content on the channel. And I did a live thing, and we had some other jokes, and what James is referring to was the first time in my life, because at the time, if you think I'm bad now, at 24, 23, 25, I had nothing to lose. I walked out of the meeting and walked out of the office when they said, well, I said, but have you watched it? Well, I don't feel like we need to watch it if this is what's described. And my young artist self, walked out of the building. James, I can't figure out why I wasn't there and still hired 2 years later. You have any idea why?
I think it all worked out for the best. If you would have still been there, you would have been fired a year later.
Yeah, I don't think Barbara knows that story. That's true.
No, I didn't. That's the story I did.
I hadn't
heard.
thought about it till Dickhead brought it up.
I still got a
Me or
copy.
Chad, I'm sorry, you're going to have to be more specific.
Bonehead Weekly puts you into a weekly. So if you were like, oh, I think I want to do every other week, then you're.
Oh, so you're saying that
right?
my original accidental slip detrimental.
Wait about
I
that.
think the weekly thing has helped us.
You think so?
Yeah, because it's made us do it when we didn't necessarily want to do it. I feel like if we could have skipped more, we would have skipped more. And instead of sitting here at number 400, because I'm not saying we're lazy, I'm just saying we all have children, jobs, other commitments. I think if you'd have done that, we wouldn't be sitting here at 400. Whether you like the show or not, or anybody gives a shit or not, I just don't know that we'd be sitting here at 400.
Well, and I think the other thing is, and the other part of that story is that we got one more note after we'd already changed the title and for Mick Strawn. And what was that note, Joe?
Oh, are you talking about the weekly part?
Yeah, the weekly.
I could have kicked myself in the ass because it didn't occur to me. I don't think it occurred to anybody else. He goes, that title's fine, but why didn't you do it weekly? Not W-E-E-K. It's W-E-A-K-L-Y. Weekly. I was like, oh my God, that's so much funnier.
So if someone brand new came upon this episode, and this is the first time they're hearing of you guys, how would you describe Bonehead Weekly?
Real quick to that person, if you're in a hostage situation, very quickly start banging on the wall. Someone might hear you. Okay, go ahead.
Oh my God, shut up.
Oh, we should have planned that better. Anyway.
Oh my God. Water and a fucking bucket. What else do they want?
Food.
They can't have my Doritos. I have a hard time. Haley was much better at promoting us than I've ever been, and I think she's much better at promoting us than either the three of us. I'm not good at, and anybody who knows me personally knows it's only in the last couple of years I've gotten better at taking compliments. It just makes me uncomfortable. I don't mean for it to, but I've realized that a few years ago I realized that compliments have nothing to do with anybody but that person, and just say thank you, and it's about them. I don't know. Three best friends,
each who has separate taste in movies, but we still share a lot of common, but who just like to talk about pop culture.
And a lot of it's shit that we would have just talked. Chad's right and James is right. Or I think it was Chad said earlier. A lot of it would have been things that we would have said in the basement or at somebody's house or anything.
Yeah.
Anyway, the thing that always bothered me is when people would say to me, oh, you all have all. I don't. Anybody that says this to me has never listened to the show. It's like people was like, oh, Texas Chainsaw Massacre is so bloody. You didn't watch it. You just didn't watch it. It was when people go, oh, you and your friends agreeing on everything.
No, then they have really
I've heard it
not
several
watched
times.
the show. Chad has.
They haven't watched the show. I've heard it several times over the years.
I have seen Chad looking like steam was going to come out of his ears before because someone has disagreed, and he's like, "No, listen, I will die on this hill."
Well, I was saying, and I can prove that right now. I could with one example. If we all agreed, we would all agree that Super Troopers is the best cop comedy of all time.
Oh God, I hate you.
See?
Or start here's a knockdown drag out. Which Die Hard sequel's the best?
With the
Hold on, let me be the one that goes way off. Live Free or Die Hard. See, I united the other two.
2 or 3. It can't even. There's not even. They didn't make any after the third one, Die Hard with a Vengeance. They didn't make any more. They just stopped.
See, this
Right.
episode is writing itself because one of my questions for further down the list was, what are some movies that you all disagree on vehemently?
Oh my God.
Oh man,
We
there's too
couldn't
many.
even get we couldn't even get Chad to pick #1 Ghostbusters when which is I think one of our better. I haven't listened to it, even though I put it together. I haven't listened to it. I will someday. But I thought one of our better ones was our 2-part episode of the 10 best movies, and we each had to pick them. And it was Chad. It was like, no, let's do it. And it's miserable for me, but I enjoyed doing it. We couldn't even get Chad to agree on Ghostbusters being #1. It's the one movie that we all three agree on
But I
and
can't,
love
I
and
just
worship,
can't,
but he couldn't put it at #1.
I can't, not with Roger Rabbit and Ed Wood. I just can't do it. I love all three movies equally.
And if you're
But
listening to this and if you've not seen that episode or listened to that episode, I really highly recommend going back and watch. It's in 2 parts. They're top 10 movies of all time, right?
And it's not really what we think are the best movies of all time.
No.
It's
no,
Right.
favorite.
I was pretty solid with my picks. And then as soon as the show ended the day later, I'm like, oh shit, I forgot Baron Munchausen. Oh shit, I forgot City of Lost Children. Oh shit.
I want to cut to Ron Perlman, like at a desk, cracking his knuckles, going, "How dare Chad forget City of Lost
Well, it
Children?"
just means he hates European cinema.
Oh my God. And I'm
He hates it. He was like Godot. Blah. It's
more like Gagan.
Oh, it's actually funnier than what I was going to say.
But yeah, I just think there's a lot of things that we disagree on. I mean, there'd be too many to list because I mean, and I mean this with all respect, Chad, but Chad watches some of the weirdest, and I say this as someone who's watched some weird films. But Chad probably can, well, not probably. I'm going to give you your due credit, sir. You can blow me out of the water. I can watch Manos, the Hands of Fate, non-rift. I have the Blu-ray transfer here. And it's fine, whatever. It's a terrible, god-awful movie. But I'd never thought about watching that Madeline Kahn, Jerry Lewis movie. And then you showed it to me, and I'm like, it's in
Or
focus.
Uncle Pecker.
Or Rubber.
Or no, Rubber.
No, we all three like Rubber.
We
Oh,
all
do you?
three love Rubber.
Okay.
Rubber's amazing. Rubber, no. I'll die on that hill. No, Rubber is a feat of cinema.
I still have
You
to.
made a
I still have
movie
to
about
see
a
it.
killer tire. That movie is amazing and has Wings Hauser in it. It has everything you need in a movie: a killer
Including-
tire and Wings Hauser.
Wings Out, and if I remember correctly, it's been a couple years since I rewatched it, but if I remember correctly, it honors the horror movie tradition because it does have the woman in the shower, right? And the tire is watching her.
It's really Shakespearean. It has the actual, what are they called? The choir. What are they called outside?
The choir.
Yeah, they have the choir talking who are witnessing it and are telling you like, nope, this is a movie about a rubber tire. No, that movie actually is really smart.
It is the smartest dumb movie ever.
You got us going on that one. No, that movie's really smart.
Yeah,
Yeah,
why
no.
is that not on my list, Chad? Why didn't you put that on the list for me?
Because it's supposed to be obscure, and I didn't think that was obscure.
You don't think Rubber's obscure?
You didn't think Rare Exports was obscure, but you think Rubber is obscure?
Are you talking to me or Joe?
Joe.
I don't think Rare Exports is obscure, but I don't know about Rubber.
The reason
it's
why I
all-
think it's obscure is because people see that it's in subtitles and they don't want to watch
Yeah,
it.
they don't want to watch it.
Rare Exports? Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. To me, it's a Christmas movie with a killer Santa, so how could, I don't know.
I already know the ones that bring you together, the Evil Dead franchise and of course Ghostbusters. Those are 2 that bring you all together.
More
Agree on
Evil
those.
Dead for Chad and I than James.
Has there been any movies where one of you loved it, the other 2 were like, eh, but then later you kind of came together on it because you listened to the viewpoints of the other person and were like, yeah, you're right.
I don't think there's one that does that, but there have been plenty that have really. Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
For years, we argued about the superior Die Hard sequel because they only made 2. Die Hard 2 and Die Hard with a Vengeance. And I always picked Die Hard 2, and he always picked Die Hard with a Vengeance. And I still believe it's because Sam Jackson's in it and kicks ass. But that being said, a few years ago, I did watch it and watched both of them, and I was like, oh yeah, maybe Die Hard with a Vengeance. And we would argue about it so many times for so many years.
And Sam Jackson is a part of it, but it's also Jeremy Irons.
it's the cliche opening of, oh, he and his wife are separated again. Oh, blah blah blah. He's hungover. Oh, he needs. I don't know. It's just something about the
But
first.
he's hungover. He's getting his ass, and he gets his ass kicked so much more in that one than he does in other. I Die Hard. Still love it
But
to this
also,
day.
there's I don't know. Die Hard 2's got a lot of great character actors in it too, Chad.
I'm
That
not arguing that. It's
that
just
do
it's not
really well.
it's still a little boring, even though I love it.
It's
I
not
love it.
boring.
There's boring parts in it.
What about you, James? What do
you're
you
right.
have to say about it?
Oh, the Die Hard movies.
No,
I, in all
no.
honesty, this is one of those fights that they have where I'm like, it's really
Neither one of them are Oscar bait.
jokingly said live free or die hard, which by the way, no, it's not. But it really is one of those things where at this point they're really splitting hairs. Because
Yeah.
it's really what do you want in that moment in a Die Hard movie that's not the first one. That's it. That's what you're arguing over. And so every time they have this argument, I'm always like, yeah, it's this. I mean, I have fun with both of them. I'll be honest, I haven't rewatched the second or third movies in 7, 8 years, probably.
I could tell you one that really splits our group, and James kind of alluded to it earlier. Police
What is it?
Academy's better than Super Troopers.
No, you're
Who
wrong.
thinks that?
So Joe and I
Are
No.
wrong.
think Police Academy is better
It is.
than Super
No.
Troopers.
Oh, I'm so
But-
sad for you both
so-
now.
Yeah, see, isn't it sad?
No, hold on. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Let me preference here. So James really loves Super Troopers. Joe really likes Police Academy. I like both Super Troopers and Police Academy, but Police Academy's better.
I
I
tried
do
because
think
they've
Police
had this
Academy's
argument
better.
with me literally for, I don't know, since we've been doing Bonehead. I think this is one of those early arguments that we had either off the
Yeah.
air or on the air. I don't know. But I tried. I went back actually probably a year ago and I was like, what am I missing? And I watched it and it was literally, this is a laugh free, what is it, 97 minutes? I don't know what it is.
Oh,
That's wrong. That's so wrong.
That's not accurate.
When does Bobcat Goldthwait show up? That's a good time.
And
Part
that's
2.
yeah. But
See,
now
that's a good time. You get
I'll give you
Bobcat
some
on there.
history, you SOB, on this. This was directed by the late great Hugh Wilson, who gave us the first Wives Club. Past that, I'm making it half a joke. He
Oh.
actually created the show WKRP in Cincinnati. And if you ever go back,
Which
and
is
find-
great.
I know he's a talented dude. And if you go back and find some interviews with him, he's actually funny and very entertaining. If you wanted to throw a criticism at Police Academy other than the 80s plot and all the other stuff, it's also written by Pat Proft, who we've tried to
Yep.
get on the show, and Neil Israel and Pat Proft. If you want to throw a good criticism in it, it's led by one of the least interesting leading actors of the 80s.
If they would have had Chevy Chase in that role, do you think it would have been better?
I don't know. It's fine with what it is because the supporting cast is so batshit nuts and there's so
Well, and that's what I mean.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about 80s and that time period. Anyway, I was trying to think who I read an interview with that worked on that.
Barb, you didn't have to do any work.
And
Yeah, it's easy.
I can't remember who it was. I don't think it was Pat Proft. Maybe it was the other guy.
Now I just want to drink more from your
And
old
I read an interview with him though, and he said, yeah, no, they made so much
Liver
money on
schmiver.
that we could pretty much do whatever we wanted as long as we didn't ask for more money. And he said
What?
that's how the sequel came out so quick. It was, oh, we'll give you exactly what we gave you for that one.
Those are all produced by Paul Mazursky. I've often wondered how much money he made off of that. Barbara, what was your question again?
I don't know. I
I
can't
think-
remember.
did
I'm
we
just
answer
enjoying
it?
listening to you guys talk.
Did we answer it?
But-
I
I'm
think
sure
we-
you did.
You
That
asked a question
guy
earlier, and I don't think
not
I
a good
ever actually
person.
answered it, Barb, about if somebody's watching this for the first time. I did want to
Back
say this,
10
and it,
minutes.
yeah, I know. I didn't get around to saying it because I didn't want to interrupt. But I think, honestly, what I would say, if you're watching this for the first time
Yeah.
and you enjoy how movies get made, go back and watch the episodes that are all the behind the scene people. Andre Ellingson talking about the special effects. Tim Storms,
Oh my
who
God.
is Patrick Stewart's body double in Star Trek, but also in X-Men.
And
Basically,
Spider-Man,
body
he was
double.
Tobey Maguire's.
He's Tobey Maguire's. It's just a fascinating conversation about and him saying, yeah, Tobey Maguire wanted to be Spider-Man as long as he was Peter Parker.
As long as, yeah, he didn't want to be in the suit and he complained, oh my God, I have a bad back. There's so many of those good interviews where we dug up people, and James dug that one up. Chad's dug up several of them. My favorites are the interviews, but we have several of, I hate calling them fans, but we have several people who enjoy the show, like Mick Strawn. And I posted this when I was posting the other day. Hey, we're going to put off a week because we're doing this 400th episode and our friend Barbara's doing yada, yada, yada. Mick Strawn has no desire for us to ever to interview anybody unless it's him.
He has said this.
He said it live, he said it in print, he said it everywhere. And unless it's him, he's like, oh shit, they've got somebody. I guess I'm skipping Bonehead this week. But my favorite are the interviews. That's
I
the
mean,
ones I love doing.
some of them are hard to do, and not hard to do. It's not like I'm like, oh, I didn't want that guest. No, that's not what I'm saying. Some of them I have to research more. But I mean, I think so many of the ones that we've gotten that I really have enjoyed are the ones where people are like, yeah, nobody's ever asked me to do a show before. And one of them, for instance, Paul J. Elliott, not a name that's going to pop up anywhere, but I found out about him because Jeffrey Combs posted on one of the best people I ever worked with, one of the funniest guys ever, designed the Andorian antennas that I wore on Star Trek Enterprise, and he told a story, and he said I don't remember the guys, so I messaged him through Twitter when you could still do that, and said, "Hey, what's his name?" And he goes, "I have no idea. I have his business card somewhere." And then he posted, going, "I'm forgetting his name. Does anybody else know?" And other people started posting, and finally they were like, "It's Paul J. Elliott. He runs Makeup
Hold
Under
up, may
Face
I do my
Laboratory."
impersonation of the Star Trek nerds following that?
Are you putting on your glasses for that?
Yo, that was Paul J. Elliott, and you call yourself a fan, sir? You sure are no fan.
Anyway, yeah.
Pretty
So,
good,
but
actually.
those are the ones that I have fun with, and the other one that I will say, and it's Philip Huber, the marionette artist, for him talking about it's just the fact that we had the marionette artist, and he patented the technology that was used in Being John Malkovich, and then he worked with Jim Henson a couple times. And that's the closest, by the way, I've gotten. If I don't know if we're going to end with our bucket list, but if there will be more Muppet people that will do our flippin' show.
We are
Yeah, we
ending
can't
with the
get.
bucket list. That's exactly I could show you.
Uh,
We're that's what we would be ending on. But yes, I'm glad that you mentioned that because I had a feeling that you would bring up the puppeteer because I know you've said before that you really enjoyed having him on. And I mean, you guys have had anywhere from production design,
We have several
writers,
production designers
directors,
on,
and there's playlists out there for if you want to just go if you're
and
more
Barbara did
interested.
our playlist.
Yeah, I did do the playlist. If you
She
want,
did.
'cause I wanted it to be easy to find some of these rather than going through, well, now 400 episodes to try to find some cool
and
stuff.
if you include the shorts and the
Oh, yeah,
adverts and
that doesn't
everything
even
else.
include the Bonehead Weekly fun size or any of the review stuff. No.
I think the fun size are kind of cool too because it's just if somebody wants to go through that playlist, it's just like 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're
Yeah,
listening,
they're no more. The fun size should are right between 4 and 5 minutes. There's rarely any. I think the reviews I do are four, rarely over four, only a couple or a few, and then the fun size are usually no more than 5 minutes. Every once in a while, there was one that went a little long if it was a really deep topic, but for the most part,
you said you like to have the guests. What about, so for you two, do you like having the topics too, or do you also prefer having the guests?
There's some topics that we've done that I've had a lot of fun with, and there's some guests I've had a lot of fun with. I think it really does depend on how the stars align. I mean, there's some guests that work better with Chad, and I'm kind of along for the ride. There's some that
Lloyd
work better with
Kaufman.
Joe. And then there's some that, I mean, one of the ones that I still can't believe we got, and boy, did he give us time, was Peter David, the late, great Peter David. And it meant a lot to me that he did our show because I read everything he wrote from the time I was probably eight, not everything, but eight till I was probably 17 or 18. I was a big comic book fan, and he created Spider-Man 2099 and didn't get the money he should have for creating that character. But anyway, so much of that. And so, yeah, it's the fact that somebody that goes to conventions and signs autographs and gets paid for it went, no, I'll talk to you for, and said, I'll give you, and I'll give you till I'm tired. And then I think we had to cut him off.
Oh, we had to cut him off. He would not.
He was great.
He's now, but He could be a curmudgeon. He's another one. Remember, I don't. He's dead now. It's not. He was, and he gave us his time. I think we did 3 hours with him.
We
Over three
did.
hours. We had to go to the bathroom. I had to go to the bathroom.
You did a part one, part two.
Yeah,
I
we
had to
split
break it
it.
up. I had to
Yeah.
break it
It was
up. It was
one.
so
It
damn
was
long.
all recorded at one time, and
And
of
he
course,
really
I
wanted to talk about Disney because he loved to go to Disney. And
yeah
he had one of those secret numbers where he could call for the VIPs. Remember?
yeah because
And I
Disney
had
had bought
that.
out Marvel.
And I always had one of my two favorite hats I've ever owned. Chad and I both love hats. I had my Disney golf, my white one. I just like the way it fits. And he was, and I don't know, couldn't what hour two
Yeah.
somewhere along that. I haven't went back and listened to it, but yeah, we didn't. James and I had met him before when we met Harlan Ellison at MadCon in Madison, Wisconsin, the first time I was ever there. And he was very nice and he was very gracious. But when we were booking him, he had very I don't know if you all remember this. Do you remember him sending the nasty messages? Because it was right in the middle of COVID. It wasn't nasty, but it was like, I'm here. No one else is here. I'm here. Do you all remember that? I remember that.
Well, and it also, and I'm a devil's advocate on his behalf, even
I
though it doesn't
agree.
matter one way or another. He could have said it meant it humorously. I don't know, but
No,
yeah,
no. And then once he found out he was fine.
yeah, but I mean, and I asked him, of course, Harlan Ellison question because he was the founder of an organization called Friends of Ellison when Harlan Ellison was a victim of a smear campaign, and they were trying to, and that was back in the '80s,
Smear.
a smear.
They were going to put it all over his bagel. It was a
Uh,
schmear.
but yeah, so I mean, and I think once we started that line of conversation, he just felt comfortable, and man, he gave us so like that was an episode I could have, if we would have been able to rebook him later and do another thing. I think we could have talked because he worked in film. Wrote,
Yeah, COVID was good to us for a few people.
yeah, yeah. Because I mean, and actually, there's been people that said that. I think Peter David even at one point mentioned I'd be
Oh,
doing cons every weekend, but now, yeah, I'll give you all time. And so I think that's one of the things that I think is cool is that no matter what your interest is, because we don't do just movies, we do comics and video games and all that stuff too. Movies tend to be the one thing we all three agree on, but we've had people from all over the place on the show, all different areas. So yeah,
like you said, the comic world and illustrators, things like that.
and as Joe referred to with Peter David, we've interviewed quite a few people that are sadly no longer with us.
It's
Yeah,
weird.
not to sound morbid, but how many off the top of your head of the people that you can't get an interview with anymore out there?
Well, we could with a Ouija board
Four? You
or
meant
a really
four?
good car battery. Um,
Four? Because Jeff Burr,
Jeff Burr, Peter David,
Jim Shooter.
Shooter hurt me.
Yeah, well, no, I mean it's
Jeff Burr, actually, the director of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, Stepfather 2, not a scare or a Scarecrow movie. Jeff Burr, especially part one of that, is up there with Jess Said Flux,
yeah.
is our one of our biggest episodes ever on YouTube.
Oh
And
yeah,
it's
yeah,
just because a ton of people didn't get Jeff Burr. He was in a more of a he directed a lot of movies that people like, but a lot of people and he kind of I'm trying to think, gentlemen, correct me as we go. I was semi-retired early, took care of his sick mom. He was
yeah,
from Dalton, Georgia, and apparently came from money in Georgia. And he kind of lived out the last part of his life and then was wanting to direct another movie. And he was friends with Mick Strawn, and Mick was the one that told him to do it. And once we started talking to him, we just hit it off. But that's true for a lot of them, don't you think?
yeah. We have
Because
been,
they're
and that's
just
what.
nerds. They're just geeks like us.
Well, and we do our homework. I
Yeah.
think that's a big part of it. Like we don't go in going, what else did you work on? We go in saying, hey, here's something you did that we love. I mean, and I think, and
Or
again,
you just give them alcohol like Charlie Band.
Chad has seen every Charlie Band movie, well, quite a few of them. And so, but I think that was it. I mean, when we went, it's not going with our hat in our hand, so to speak, but like when we were talking to Peter David, his Incredible Hulk run, I could talk about. He wrote some of the best appearances of Man Thing in the Incredible Hulk. I could talk to him about Trancers 4. I could talk to him about Oblivion. I could talk to him about, and so it just worked that anytime he got tired of one topic, he didn't have to worry, is there another question? We could talk about it. We did our homework, so to speak. And I think that matters because we also don't invite people on the show that we don't want to talk to. I
There you
mean,
go.
in all
Yeah.
honesty.
Yeah, there's been people who have pitched themselves. I won't say the name of this particular director. I will just tell the story. And Chad can back me up on it, and James a little more, but Chad was the one who had the moral compass on this one. There was a director I got booked who had some issues. He was accused of a crime. And we at the 11th hour, I didn't know about. I truthfully, and I think the other two would back me up in a court of law. I did not know about it till Chad brought it to our attention. Does that
Hmm.
sound right, Chad?
Yeah.
Yep.
Because this person directed to like a movie that I genuinely love and was a staple for me.
It was a good get for us.
I really wanted to talk to him, but then I knew about the other things that he was accused of, and
But did you know about it before you looked it up?
mm-mm,
Dang.
no. And I told the guys that you all could do it. I'm just not going to take part in it. That's all there was to it. I just
And I was 50-50 going back and forth, truthfully. And then I text a friend of mine who owns a convention, not Brandon Griffith, another one. And he sent me a message and was laughing about it. And I was like, well, I've got nothing to lose and nothing to do. I think Chad's right. So we just canceled it.
Well, let me ask you this, with all three of you being parents and knowing that you're leaving behind, and I've said this to Joe several times, you're leaving behind this legacy. There's kids that would love grown adults that don't have their parents around anymore that would love to have seen 400 episodes that are right there on YouTube. What would you say? Oh, I really hope my kid sees this episode.
I think it's also more than that because it's, I mean, for better or for worse, take it as you will, it's also their uncles. I mean, my kids have grown up with, for better or for worse,
I
they
don't know. Well,
see.
it depends on which daughter of Chad's you're talking about. One of, and this is a joke for the three of us. One of them, it's a hug and I love you, and the other one's you're not my real uncle.
Yeah, and so, but I mean, honestly, it is that way. It is. I mean, and I'm not knocking my own brother because this is recorded. But no, I mean,
He's never going to listen to the
they
shit.
see nobody. That yeah, but and so I think that's the other piece of it is that. I mean, there's times when my son's like, I want to do an episode, I want to be on, I want to do this, I want to do, and I think it's just there is something cool about that. That and for him, it's not about how many views it would get. It's like I want to come and hang out with my uncles, and I want to do this, and I want to talk about this. And so I think that's cool, and I agree. There's a lot that I wish I had more recordings. I think I have maybe one or two recordings of my dad, and that's about it. Because my dad didn't, he worked and he came home, and there wasn't a lot of recordings of it. And so
Well,
I
he
think
was never
there's
interested in doing it either.
no, no, no. He would look at this and be like, if you're having fun, go ahead. And that would have been it. I mean, it's the same way he viewed theme parks and anything.
Yeah, he wasn't
And so
interested.
I think what's really interesting about it, though, what I would love to see happen, and I thought about this, thinking there might be a question like this, is I would love for my kids, after I'm gone next Thursday when they're coming to pick me up, um, for them to sit down.
You're just leaving for the fucking weekend.
Well, you don't know. I've been thinking about going
Just
out for a
order a
pack of.
pizza and clean the litter box. They'll be fine.
I've been thinking about going out for a pack of smokes, and for what I've heard, people disappear when they do that.
I was gonna say, is this like the milk thing?
No, anyway,
Basically,
yeah. Anyway, but
Dad went out
for
for a
them
pack
to
of
go
Marlboro
back
Reds.
and watch some of the stuff we watch and see whether or not they agree with me or not, right? I think that's cool because I think about how many things my dad loved that I watch. Some of it I watched, I'm like, oh, okay, I see it now. That I didn't like when I was a kid because I was a kid. And then there's some of it though that I watched that my dad loved it, and I watched him. This is just explosions and pointless violence. Oh, that's what Dad liked. Okay, well that makes sense, but it's not changing anything. And so I think that's kind of cool. That if my kids ever were like, "Now what's a movie that Dad liked?" Oh wait, hold on. He ranted for 4 days about one. Let's look at it.
Chad,
Chad
so
had
would I
us on
like
mute the whole
how
time.
would I like my kids to go back and watch this?
Yeah, are there certain episodes that you're like, oh, I kind of hope they go back, whether it's a guest or a topic, one maybe a topic you had a lot of fun with?
I can tell you like one that so in a way, yes, because like I get to share movies with my kids, and I'm slowly integrating them into the weird and obscure, and one is very like likes it, the other one's not so. K-pop Demon Hunters is all I want, Dad. Um, but when they get older, they can go back and listen to us three joke and listen to some of the movies that I reference, and they can go back and go, "Why did Dad never tell us about these movies?" On the other side, no, because I say a lot of stuff on this that I wouldn't say to my kid in front of my family.
But
So,
you'll be dead.
I
And
know.
Barbara's version is you're dead.
But yeah, I mean, I think they would have a kick out of seeing their dad just goofing off on camera for an hour or two. Now, as for guests,
Yeah.
man, I seriously have. That's one of the best things about the podcast, other than hanging out with these two jackoffs. Is
I prefer jerk off.
no,
I
sorry,
bet you do.
I'm
I
going,
do.
I'm
You
going,
do.
I'm going 80s New York. Um,
Jagoff.
Jagoff. Forget about the fact that as a kid, I loved Charles Band. I loved Lloyd Kaufman. And now I've got to sit next to them and have conversations with them. And it was two of the big, but also getting to talk with Michael Moore, who's a prop designer, and actually going to LA and going to his studio and seeing all the Star Trek stuff that he has just laying around like it was just yesterday's junk. And I got to hold like a genuine rifle from Voyager. And then on top of that, just because he knew how big of a fan I was, we got molds of the original Munchies puppet. This would have never happened if I didn't have
We
this
all he
stuff.
made all three of us one, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
And it's
Um,
with you, and then you kept all of them.
yeah, I did. I have an
And
army
we
of
had to give the
Munchies.
firstborn male child in all of our households to him. And then James
Yeah.
said, "That's too Jewish." And then
And
I
I've
said,
had
"That's very Mel Brooks joke of you."
my youngest daughter has come in and she said, "Dad, tell me the story. What is this?" And she was just amazed. And I got to tell her about all the things I got to play with in his studio. And just those things my kids can go back and look at. So yeah.
What's the question again about my kids and legacy?
Yeah, like you're leaving behind this legacy for your kiddo
So
to watch.
I think I feel slightly different than Chad. We both, I think the other two would back me up of if you know me through the convention world, and God, I've got a privileged life when it comes to that, and I'll be the first one to admit it. I am one lucky duck. I'll be the first one to admit it. But not only that, but I'm very privileged about other things. I think if you know me from that world, you'd be very shocked to know the kind of dad I am. I think that I'm very much a Gen X dad, like walk it off, blah, 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 blah. You hit that wall, is the wall okay? But I try not to, I think the other two would agree that I don't. I try to go out of my way not to curse around my son and say things, even though I'm still the one who introduced him to Monster Squad and the other. And we watched, he was down here, we watched Sleepy Hollow, all four of us together. My son's very geeky. He gets into a lot of the stuff like I do. So if I'm dead and gone, I think it's nice. First of all, I doubt that he may be interested, but if he is ever interested, that's cool too. Just to see the the warts and all of his dad, because I think if you listen to 400 episodes, there's none of the three of us that would come out unscathed. Would that be correct, gentlemen?
Yeah.
James is
I
shaking his head. It's like you were going to come out unscathed. You were heading
no,
to go.
no,
If
I
I was
no,
the whole time
I was
fuck.
saying no, I would not come out unscathed.
I think we all would be judged about certain things. A friend of ours Glenn, who does Good Movie Monday, was talking about, yeah, we would have been canceled if he'd been more popular. That's the worst Australian accent. Talking
Yeah,
about
I was about to
himself.
say, what was that?
I don't know. But I think it's probably not untrue of us. I mean, we've had some opinions that are slightly controversial that we've probably shared over time, and I don't know all of them. And I know I've made jokes over time that would be considered controversial. But that being said, I think it's if he were interested in getting to know his dad, because I don't know that any of us, and I was telling Barbara this the other day, being asked some questions, that she's being asked some questions about somebody who's writing the history of Scarefest. It's like, I don't know if any of us are really good, reliable biographers or autobiographers of ourselves.
Well,
Unreliable narrator, as they say.
I don't know that the narrator is reliable in these
Yep.
things.
I'm
But
going
I
to be
don't
an
know.
academic nerd for a second. There's no reliable history because history is absorbed, right? And I process it through me. And that's why you need multiple interviews, right? You need multiple people to say, "Oh, well this affected me this way." Whereas it may have affected somebody else a different way. I can't speak to that. So I'm going to say, I personally felt X, Y, and Z. You need those different angles. And that's one of the things that we've talked about before on the show, right? To somebody, I'm the ultimate villain. I've somehow ruined their life.
Well, we
I
talk about
have
that. Yeah.
never set out to hurt anybody. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I can say that. No, I've never set out to hurt anybody, right? I don't get up in the morning and think, oh, how can I ruin somebody's life today? So if I've done that to you,
But you do such a good job at it.
I know if I've done that to you, know that it's unintentional and I'm just a moron.
And you're just naturally
I have,
talented.
I know. Why is it that I have low self-esteem, I have anxiety, I have depression, but why is the one thing I'm good at is making other people suffer? Why is it? I don't know. But
Anyway, will you get to your point?
well, that is my point. Is that every narrator is unreliable, right? That's the way history works. We have to have multiple angles. To quote one of the greatest films of all time, which I'm sure these gentlemen will agree with me, one of the great films starring the master thespian Tim Curry, "Hate Sir Francis Drake, the British idolize him, or the French despise him, but the British idolize him." That's right. I just quoted Muppets Treasure Island. You're welcome.
With all three of you having such different personalities, I think that's what makes this such a cool podcast to listen to.
We're happy for all four of our listeners.
Well, you've got Chad who comes with the most obscure things you've ever heard of. James is usually very philosophical. It's a long 12-minute intro, and which I enjoy, but Joe
Dry as the desert.
I knew you were going to say dry as a desert.
Dry as a desert. James, I am now dry as the desert. Thank you so much.
And then you have Joe. So it's three different personalities. Plus you have, like I said, the introvert extrovert thing, which,
Well, there's only one extrovert.
Yeah.
I know. Which actually works out kind of well, because is it just coincidence that the extrovert is the one doing the producing, right?
No, I don't know. I
Not
think it just fell on me.
Yeah, but Chad, would you want to do it? James, would you want to do it?
You don't want me to do it, because literally it would be.
It's either got to be Chad or I.
I would make one cut, and that's the thing. I will give these gentlemen credit. We're 400 episodes in. We did a couple short films together, and I observed them doing short films before I ever got involved in doing it. And I have watched these gentlemen, or idiots, depending on how, because agonize over what, a 15th of a second in a cut, and I'm like,
that will start an argument now. And he finally agreed with me over a decade later, a few years ago.
But I mean, honestly, in my entire thing, I've watched them do it. I sat there and watched, going, nobody's going to care. Nobody's going to. I'm telling you, as somebody that's watched it,
cared.
Nobody that matters is going to care. Nobody that matters. Nobody is going to see this. And now, if it was a full second, like, I get that. That's a thump. Thumps matter.
But it was a full second.
I don't know. To me, it was less than a second. And I just remember you all, and they did. You all had some pretty detailed, and and by the way,
I know exactly where it was. Chad, you don't work there anymore. You want to tell where it was at?
Are we talking about Murder Virgin right now?
No. I worked on that one. I actually co-wrote that one.
Reminiscence. I don't think you've ever seen it. We've never uploaded it.
Why didn't you upload it?
That was
it's actually the best thing I think we ever did, but
I wasn't involved.
A few years later, I think I watched it a few years ago, and I watched it and I was like, who? So you hear people be pretentious filmmakers and say, well, the guy that made that no longer exists, or I couldn't make that movie now. I watched it and they're right. I don't know who that is. I don't know who that guy is.
Well, okay, so why don't you all three try to make something else, like another short?
It's difficult. And if you want to do it correctly, it's not fun. It's fun, but it's not fun.
And it takes getting, and if he's listening to this, God bless John Stith and Joe Ellswick for doing Murder Virgin, because they did that for almost nothing. We had no budget.
We fed
them. And I mean, there was poor John. I mean, we covered him in appliances and fake blood, and I know he was stained. His skin had to be stained
There's
by the
still
time.
stains in my carpet.
That being said, it is one of those things. It did play at a couple film festivals. At one film festival, it got 1,100 views. It did not win. I think it ranked third,
We came in fourth. We ranked. We
fourth.
came right out of money.
Yeah,
Comedy one.
that would
It was
make
like a
sense. That would be
comedy or
where we
dark comedy.
normally rank, right outside of money.
It's
But
true. It's true. We came right out, and the one that won it, I thought was the best. I nothing. It was like the witch of which witch. It was a play on the words of there were. It's like a witch. They're burning a witch, and it was like the play. It's like who's on first. I thought that was the best one.
yeah,
But
no, and
there was
they
one
made
that
it.
beat us. Then I was like, no,
Yeah.
no, we were better than that. But we placed right outside of money on that one.
But so it got a lot of people watch it. We uploaded it to YouTube. Not too many people have watched it on YouTube. 200 and some, I think now.
And
But,
I
It's
realize
like
it would
fourth
take
or
I realize it would take a lot of work. It could take, months just to get 10 minutes out, but it could be fun too though, right?
I
Well,
would love to
and
do another one. What I wanted to do. Sorry, James.
the other part of it is, and much like you see on the show where we disagree about different things, when we write, it is completely different. There are times when I write where it sounds more like Chad. Some of the jokes that people wouldn't think was, but also we approach writing very different. Joe will tell you how he writes versus how I write, and they do not always mesh well together.
I will say this. There was a friend of mine who's not in any of this business. He was talking about the Beatles documentary that Peter Jackson made, and talking about how boring it is. Well, if you watch it, and if you've ever done anything fairly creative or wrote a screenplay, or if you've done it with other people, I was watching it and I was thinking, you see it as boring. I see these people as anguish. This is anguish trying to get to that point, trying to figure out how we kill the two people at the end of Murder Virgin with so many steps of James Thomas in my
Spoiler.
kitchen. Yeah, spoiler. Chad, do you remember any of this? I mean, it was just the pacing and coming back. And I still don't know that we got that screenplay right. I don't think I directed it well. I don't think I shot it correctly. And I don't know that at the end of the day, we still got, I think it's kind of right, but I don't think we got the screenplay right where it should have been.
Well, you're always going to be
Well,
your own worst critic.
I was gonna say that's actually my biggest, and the only way, by the way, that I normally get anything done and out and made is because of these two. Because I will tear anything I do apart multiple times.
And that is something
and
for me.
destroy
I
it.
will be with the one of we've got to shoot it. We've got to do it.
Yeah, because I will literally be now. I don't doesn't feel.
We've got to just do it.
I will agonize over one word. So I gave them crap about a 15th of a second. But if there is one word where when I read it out in my head it doesn't feel right, I'm like, nope, no, and I'll literally leave it and walk away from it for months because I just can't find that word.
I'm curious if Chad will back me up on this because I had to used to work with James for so many years. I'm going to out him on something. There are a ton of jokes. There's a ton
He was
of
a kind
things.
man, and that's all I'm going to say about it. Don't you besmirch him.
There's a ton of things where people go, oh, and usually I blame myself of he's just such a bad influence on that Dr. Thomas. Chad, how many awful, horrible things has James written or came up with, and then later on in public talk about how he was standing in the corner and literally use this phrase or use this sentence? I was over there handing out the Gideon Bibles, doing
I
the
don't have one
Lord's
at my
work.
desk right now. Crap. I usually could have one I could hold up.
Yeah, I think James, out of all of us, has the darkest humor.
You think he's darker than me? You think so? I don't know. I'm serious. I'm being serious.
I would
think
say
James has the darkest sense of humor.
I would say, Joe, I would say if it's generally speaking, if it's sexual humor, yours is darker.
Yeah, if it's food,
murder, violence, and all of that stuff,
oh,
I may be
that's you.
darker.
That's you. It's James.
Because I
And
find
some of the sex jokes are James's too.
yeah. No, mine are normally just puns.
But if it's a poop thing, it was almost always Chad.
The only exception, we never filmed it, but we did write a sketch that was about a proctologist.
Yeah, the prodigal proctologist.
The prodigal, and it was about how his sister's a crack whore.
Yeah,
But his parents are more proud of her because they at least understand why did he go to med school and do all
we
of
study
this.
assholes.
to do, and there was one line that everybody assumed that read it went, "Oh, Chad wrote that," and it was actually I did write it, and it was a stupid line where he's so frustrated, and the father said, "Well, I just don't understand why." And he responds, "You don't understand the intricacies, all of it, of the human intestine and how it ends. And do you even know that what comes out when you break wind is actually called a farticle?" And the father goes, "What, really? No, Dad, that's stupid. Why would we call it that?" I wrote that. I did. I came up with farticle because I was reading a physics book, and I was like, "Oh, that's hilarious. That's
I
funny."
don't remember that. I remember we were trying to shoot compilation of different Bonehead skits. Chad and James remember this, and we were trying to find an actress.
I was going to play the mother.
Yeah,
If you
they,
remember, there was no photos were taken, but I tried on the dress and we were figuring out how to do the makeup.
oh my God, we were going to do it all, and we could not find a woman, I am not joking, who would do any of the skits.
We
As I
did find
recall,
one.
we
We
found
did, but it was
no,
an
they all
issue.
backed out.
After she quote unquote auditioned, we found out she was 16.
Oh, I
Oh my
forgot
God.
about her.
And
You're
we were like,
right,
nope,
but we
nope.
didn't know.
We didn't know, and we found out she was
She didn't look
16.
16.
She did
That's
not,
what he
and then
said.
she was the
But
one
you're
that
making
kept
a joke, Barbara. I forgot about this. Chad, do you
she
remember this?
kept she kept coming. But if I
You
remember
don't
correctly,
remember any of
you
this,
told me
Chad?
later you finally had to
Her
tell her, no,
mom
no,
kept
we're
messaging me, and her mom was like, I'm okay with her doing it.
yeah,
I
yeah. I
don't
want her
remember
to
a
do it.
Oh
thing.
my
I
God,
want
Chad,
her
I
to do it.
forgot all about it to right then. He is
And that's one of the reasons we canceled
right.
it
Her
for a long
mom kept
time.
messaging me on social
We
media.
we canceled it because
Oh God.
we didn't want to have to deal with that anymore. And so that's one of the reasons it got put to bed was I was
We couldn't
and it
find
was
anything. We just could not.
I just
because
feel like all three of
No
you could
one.
come up with something together like a good dark comedy.
The one I really wanted to do, and we did Murder Virgin instead, was the one I wanted to do was a short story I wrote. And I'll talk about it now. It's called Looking Down. It's about a guy trying to commit suicide, but nobody will look up. Right? He's trying to jump off a building, but nobody will look up. I
That's
think
so
that's
messed up.
hilarious. I think it's hilarious. But there was that movie that was written by the guy that wrote about a boy, and he's a British author, and he wrote a book, and I didn't know it existed about these people who meet at. And actually, you know what? Times past, I'd probably get away with it now because ours is a little different. But it's all these people who meet. Is it New Year's Eve? Commit suicide on a rooftop,
yeah. Yep.
and then what happens afterward? And comedy ensues. Ours was just about a guy who kept looking down and nobody would look up. I wanted to do it so, but I don't actually think we ever figured out the ending of that either.
Chad, what are your thoughts on this?
Oh man, I don't know.
You could play. This is like you three guys as adults. I think adults forget how to play.
I'll agree with that. Yeah.
I'd love to
Um,
do one.
it would be interesting. It's just the time because I said the two kids who occupy 98% of my time.
It's not the writing and everything. It's the actual shooting of it. That's the hard part.
When you guys have kids that are all out of the house, maybe you should just make a pack that you start getting together and learn how to play again like you were kids.
You also have to have a really strong vision and burning desire. Otherwise, it just doesn't. And
And
it's
It'll
and,
fizzle out.
and as somebody that, these people did broadcast stuff and I didn't. I English education, whatever. So I didn't come into that. But one of the things that I did learn, and it's one of the things that I'm like, okay, yeah, now I get a little bit more, was when we were trying to shoot Murder Virgin, you hear it when they talk about film, but like daylight. How much light's coming through the window? How's that going to affect the shot? So it's, we have to
it
keep
looked like a crack house. We had to shoot in my front room.
yeah. And so to keep that room looking
Yeah,
the
we
same,
had to
you
put
either have to
aluminum foil.
yeah. Yeah. And you have to do, and it's one of those things that, I mean, to me, it's like just set up a camera and shoot, right? And it's no, it doesn't work that way. I mean, I wish it did, but, and by the way, once again, it wouldn't look as good as it did if it was up to me, because that's exactly what we would have done. And I didn't know that. I don't have even now, I'm like, I understand it because I saw it and I know what that means. And I know,
Oh my God, you kept putting that one cheap ass camera up in the corner, and I kept, why are you doing that? Well, in case we need the footage, and I knew in my heart we will never use not one shot that you're putting on top of my curio cabinet up there. Do you remember this? I remember this.
with me, I
Yes,
did
it
it.
was you. Oh my
If
God.
I did it, it was
Takes up
because
part of my hard drive.
somebody. If I did it, it was
Pickles.
because somebody told me to do it once, and then once I did it, I'm like, well, you did it once, we might as well keep doing it. Because
No,
I
there's
mean,
more to it, but
there
that's
would have
okay.
been nothing. There would have been. I can't imagine what would have made me do that without somebody saying, "Hey, you should at least get it once."
I
Now, it
remember it like
could
it was
have
yesterday.
been, some it could have been, and I'm not saying this. Maybe John said, "Hey, you should try it once," and then I just went, "Well, I did it once, so I'll keep
I
doing it."
remember John. I remember meeting. Oh my God, this isn't about Murder Virgin. Why are we talking about this? I remember the first time I met with John. He sent me an email right before I met him. I met him at Starbucks on Richmond Road, but he said I never met him before in my life, and he sent me an email because I was trying to find because I remember I thought about it, and everybody talked me out of playing the fat guy in Murder Virgin, and it was right. I shouldn't have played the fat guy, but it was John, and he sent me that email going, "I am your fat guy. You have found
Oh,
him." And it was just I've never
Great.
forgotten, and I appreciate him.
By the way, and that was another thing. I mean, there were a couple lines that changed from the script because of Joe and John, as actors, and there were also some things that we talked about doing after Murder Version that never came together. There was a great, I think I don't think John will kill me for telling the story. He had a great pitch for just a sketch about him playing a jockey. You remember this?
Yes, I do. It
He
was pretty
wanted to
good.
play a
Who wrote
jockey, and
it?
if you've ever met John,
He's big dude. He's over
he's a
six
big
foot
guy.
tall, and
He wanted, but
he's
he
probably over 300 pounds. He's a
and
big
it was
dude.
just going to be him being interviewed
Proud
after he
about that.
wins a race, and it turns out he'd been feeding the horse cocaine the entire
Yes,
time.
oh my
That
I,
was a sketch. That was a
that was the
sketch. He was
sketch.
because it
This
was how do
300
you?
pound guy, he was a
It,
jockey,
it
and the
was it
horse
was
is
the
high as
interviewer
hell.
trying to be polite, going, now how do you as a jockey, trying to be not basically not say you're too big to be a jockey. How what do you think caused your horse? And then literally it ended with him
And he
screaming
did this
something
whole
like,
Creole accent
yeah,
too. He could
oh,
do
the
it.
snow on the bayou.
There was
I
snow
just
on the bayou.
and
I
I was
forgot all about that,
rolling.
James.
I was rolling. It was, and that's the entire thing. That never has made it anywhere yet.
No.
But it's burned into my head. I will never forget snow on the bayou.
I have a
The
two-part
horse.
question for
The
you
horse.
guys to end this. So the first part is you've seen what it is the last 8.5 years. Now
Mhm.
going into 2026, I know you had talked about some of the changes that you wanted to do. Chad, you've been looking at some different artwork for maybe certain episodes, right?
I am not an artist at all. Like people, like I'm jealous of people like Bryce O'Quay and Ken Kirk because of what they can do. I've always wanted to. So I've just been using AI to come up with weird different logos of three skulls, and Joe and James seem to like them. So we're seeing what we could do with those.
But
Okay.
Barbara, he's leaving out the part we even argued about what we like.
Well,
Well, this
yeah.
does not surprise me.
It shouldn't be a shocker. And me bitching and then both getting mad at me every time he did it, I came out like, why do I look like Abraham Lincoln in every single one of
It
these
drove
photos?
both us, James and I, crazy because you are a dude with brown hair and a beard.
And
But
there's
you
only so
have
much
to
AI
admit
can
a couple of
to
them was straight up with the
no
stovetop
to
No,
the
there
style.
was
to the
somebody.
point
There
to the
was one that I
point.
sent you that I didn't realize the AI left the beard, the mustache of your beard off. And yeah, that one you kind of looked like Abe Lincoln.
The most fun I had with that because they were going back and forth and I didn't say anything for a while, and then finally I created an image using Baby Billy from the Righteous Gemstones. And when Joe finally went, well, that one's okay, and I made it a sign with Baby Billy giving a thumbs up, and it was like finally approved by that Abe Lincoln looking MFer,
It's true. It's
and I
true.
sent it to Chad.
It's
I
true.
told him to print it
Fantastic.
off and hang it on his wall. That would be the biggest reward he got. There you go. That's
Uh,
something I actually did.
Well,
That's true.
with you guys having a history of topics versus guests, is that changing balance this year? Are you going to try to get more guests than
I'd
topics,
like
or
to
still
get
keep
more
it equal?
guests.
Okay.
And that's the entire thing. We try to get, and we mentioned earlier that we've had people, want to do the show, and we've had some people that we would want to do the show, say they want to do the show, and then they disappear. Or
Oh my God,
life
we got
happens.
big. As much as
Life
you,
happens.
there are some big ones we almost got, and then there's some big ones that we got that I'm still shocked that we got.
Paul Hirsch comes to mind. Well, Oscar winner. I mean,
Well, was the only Oscar? Well, I think that's our only Oscar winners, Paul
so
Hirsch.
far,
so
William
far.
alone may pull something off. We
The
don't
other
know.
one is Nick Meyer. Chad got some good
Love it.
ones. James got some good ones. I don't know which one they're most proud of, but I will say I don't know that I'm most proud of this, but I'm pretty close of Nicholas Meyer. Just yeah, I thought that was pretty
Sherlock
cool.
Holmes, dude. How can you go wrong? I mean, obviously Star Trek 2, but I
Star
mean,
Trek
Sherlock.
2, he wrote and directed the best Star Trek movie of all. Well, actually, one of my I think all three of us will agree one of our favorite movies of all time. Mine is one of my favorite
Yeah.
movies of all time.
I think that's one that we all three agree on as well. I mean, not to the level of Ghostbusters.
But no, it's one of the best, one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
prefer the one
It's
with the whales.
I
Because
know.
you're a douchebag.
No, it's a great. I mean,
It's a
in
good
the
movie,
pantheon
but
of
See,
it's
Star
it's
Trek
not
movies.
Wrath of
Dad
Khan.
originally didn't want this to be a visual thing, but we would miss him flipping you the bird. We would miss
You
that.
miss it.
Yes.
Miss it.
We really would, though.
Oh, shoot, stupid finger.
He can't even put up the right finger.
Any plans in 2026 to try to go live more often?
I think we should do more of those.
The cool part about it that you might like, Joe, there's no uploading. You know how later you have to upload and add things to it? You don't have to do that. When you do a live episode, it's out there, the rest handles itself.
I like when we do Facebook Live when we don't have a plan. I enjoy doing those things. I just don't know how much the demand is out there. Once again, Chad's right. I wish because we do have some loyal followers, and I really appreciate them, and I want to keep making them happy. But I wish they would interact more.
Well, and
Well,
if you had something where you said, "Hey, we're going live on this night every month," like pick one night a
That may
month.
not be a bad, and it's really just getting three of us in a room.
Yeah.
We all live
yeah,
within 3 miles of one another. You think this would be easy?
yeah,
The reason we did it at Christmas is because we were all there.
there,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I mean, it could be
New
a
Year's Eve.
topic. Here's the thing about the live episode that I think you guys would really like is that you have people in the chat that are giving you more to talk about too.
That's the reason why we love doing the live episodes when we do them at Scarefest and Comic Con. For people who show
Yeah.
up and we get audience participation. I wish we could do more audience participation for most of our shows. Well, I do. I don't know how the other two feel.
Let's say that you're
Fucking diarrhea of the
a
mouth.
comic shop owner, a toy shop owner, and you're within relative distance of us, and you'd like us to come and do a live from behind the scenes at your store or something. We'd probably do that.
We've done that before.
Yeah.
We drove
went
to Ashland. That was a road trip. I remember Jared. Oh my God, Jared Greer owns Comic Con, Lexington Comic Con. We did it live from his Ashland shop before he opened up his mega store in Huntington, West Virginia. You should build this into the budget for travel. And I just started laughing. Budget? What is he talking about?
No, and I think that's the
We've
entire
never
thing.
made one. It's cost me money over the years.
I think the two things that people sometimes misunderstand or misinterpret, this is like academic publishing. I've got some family members, some extended family. They're like, "Oh, you've got all these articles published for work." I'm like, "Oh yeah, my historical education studies. I don't get paid for those. Like those are not. They're peer reviewed. They're scholarly, and unless you're the editor of the volume or the book, there's no money." And so, and by the way, I'm not saying there's a little bit of money. No, there's no money. I sign away my rights when I let them publish it. And so I think that's really, it's the same thing. As sappy as it sounds, we really do this because it's love of the game, I guess.
It would have to be after 400 episodes of no pay.
It is. It is. It is. I don't know. We've never really discussed when it ends.
No, I've jokingly said before, actually, I think I said this within the first few episodes. When you and Chad are ready to quit, I'm going to Eric Idle this up and keep it running just me. But that's a dated reference now. That's a dated reference.
It will have to get uploaded. It would have to be on a timely schedule. It would have to be off.
Dude, it will be a raw feed, and it will be me doing book reviews, and it literally will be me going, "I don't know. Let me talk about this one today." And I'll grab one off the shelf because I thought about doing book reviews, and actually, I recorded a couple. I'll never upload.
And you have access.
Actually, I need the password again, but I'll talk to you later.
Again, live episodes. You don't even have to worry about it.
I would, but honestly, that's the other thing, and this is a good comment, people. If you want me to do book reviews like Joe does movie reviews, let me know. I read at least a book a week, and I can do genre of books. I just need to know if people are interested, and I will lovingly do it.
There you go. I know what you guys would do if
What?
you decided to stop producing and you're like, I'm done. You would just be a guest on other shows.
I've only been asked a couple of times.
I was gonna say I've been asked to do, and oddly enough, it's more often
Barbara's
than
asked
work.
us more than anybody,
I
but
would
I've only
ask
been asked a
James to
few.
do more, but he's hard to get a hold of. He's just like,
Oh
oh
my
yeah,
God. Do you remember
oh
that whole
yeah.
timeliness? Chad, speak up about this timeliness. Don't leave
Oh
me
my
hanging
God.
here.
Who was
James,
here before? Who was the last bonehead here?
this is
Who
how
was
I
the last one to line side on for this episode?
this is how I picture James.
Me.
When I text him, I picture him going, oh, yeah, I'll have to text her back. I'll have to text her back when I stop doing whatever
No
the thing
ill
is I'm doing.
intent.
And then he'll
No, there
forget
really
for
is
a
no
whole
ill
week.
intent.
No ill
There
intent.
I
is
know
no ill
that.
intent. There is,
I
and quite
know.
frankly, here's the way. I'll be honest. If you want to get me on an episode, email me an invite, and I'll be like, "Oh, did I agree to do that?" And I'll just accept it. I mean, honestly, I'm being honest.
Yeah.
And if you book me when I have something else going on, I'll be, "Oh, I must double book myself," and I'll let you know, and we'll reschedule. But that's the secret. I've just told you the secret how to get me. Anytime you want me to do it, I'll lovingly do it. Just send me an invite so it's blocked out on my calendar. I'll be, "Oh, okay,
Well,
accept."
Well,
don't be
Barbara,
surprised when I do exactly that.
how do you get Chad? Because you've interviewed Chad more than
Because I
any of us.
yes, and I lured Chad in by saying, Chad, I love when you tell me about obscure movies. He's like, checkmate. And he made me a list. We do double features all the time now.
Chad? No, your son. Oh,
Audio.
James, hold on.
Sorry.
Hold on,
This is
Admiral
timely, Chad.
Stockdale.
Yeah. Oh my God, James beat me to it. Do you remember Stockdale when you sat there for an hour and a half during our 400th episode and didn't say
Didn't
three
have your
words?
didn't have
That
your
was
hearing
brilliant,
aid on.
Chad. That was just brilliant. I
Yeah,
loved
bro,
it.
bro. Let people know you had that things going on, other
Yeah,
things
people think you're
on your mind.
thinking, Chad. People think you're thinking.
Always. That's how I survive.
Oh my God. His daughters will never have to listen to this. They won't know. I would have to piss him off to get him to talk.
Well,
I've
and
already forgot what was the question.
If you had a bag of bagels,
I don't like
Do
bagels.
bagels come in bags or
how do
sleeves?
you not like a bagel every once in a while? I
Every
want one with
once in a
lox.
while I eat one, but I'm not a fan of them.
You never just want like a New York bagel with lox and cream cheese and some onion on it?
No.
Well, I do.
I'm more of the fruit schmear type person.
Yeah, I'd like the savor. See, Barbara, we don't agree on a goddamn thing.
I'm
See,
saying,
if I eat a bagel, nothing
but
on it. I just want
opposites
the
by the
bagel.
attract,
way,
though. How did you guys even become friends? I'm
Oh,
curious.
that's a long story. I'll make it short for two of them. Chad. So I will tell how I remember Chad, and Chad can tell how he remembers me, and then James will introduce how he met Chad because James has the best story of these three.
it's one of my favorites. It's still one of my. Oh my God, I can't believe because
Chad,
I
you
still
agree?
play it in
James
my
has the
head.
best story of these three.
Mm-hmm.
I was an RA in a place called Cooper Hall at Morehead State University as a resident advisor or assistant, depending on what college you're at. And that's how I'm a first gen working my way through school. Chad's a first gen too, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I wasn't Chad's RA, but I had to check him. I don't remember him before checking him out, but he says I did. But when he was leaving for the semester and he had some sort of Evil Dead Army of Darkness thing up, and I was like, oh my God, Sam Raimi. And we just were friends ever since.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Did I get any of that wrong?
No, yeah, no, we were in a class together with Larry. Why am I blanking on his
Larry
name?
Bear?
Yeah, and you sit
Larry
in the
Netherton.
you sit on the back wearing your leather jacket and sunglasses and made a couple of comments towards me because I sat at the bottom row.
Yeah,
But yeah, then
because
I
I
checked
was.
out.
So you're
I
saying
checked
I was an asshole with a leather jacket on
a little
and
bit.
glasses? Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
and
accurate.
then I went to check out, and that's exactly what happened. He had a picture of Army of Darkness up in his, and I said, "Oh, you're a fan of Sam Raimi?" And then he was shocked that I knew that Sam
Well,
Raimi was the director.
in that time, 1998, no one did.
That was
Yeah,
pre-Spider-Man.
That's
but
pretty. No one knew who he was.
and I remember the next thing too because I am not. I get introvert. I get nervous around people, and my brain goes blank. And he was like, "Oh, you're a fan of Sam Raimi. What else you like?" And the only thing I could come up with off the top of my head, I forgot, like Evil Dead, Dark Man, all of that went out of my head. I said Hercules
Remember that?
because
you remember,
again, it was just my brain goes blank when people are going to talk to people. I just gotta get nervous. But,
Chad, I've said this many times. Chad is my the closest thing I have. I'm an only child to my knowledge, and Chad is the closest thing I have to a brother. So whatever
same
that
here.
is.
And I
Huh?
have two of them. I said same here, and I have two of them.
But that also means so Chad and I will both argue the most. I think we get the meanest to each other as Chad and I to the meanest. And but I think we both James is more of the kid gloves because James is more of our best friend.
And he's neutral.
James, I
You're
don't think this
Switzerland
leaves
over
you
there.
out at all. I think this is,
No, I'm just a
in my
sensitive artist.
experience, this is, I think, is accurate. And
Yeah.
I don't know. Chad, what do you think?
Well, I view both of you as my brother. So and James is just the middle child who tries to make everybody get along.
That's
That's what I am in real life, so I don't see why it'd be
oh my
But
different.
God.
but here's the thing.
Hear middle children shit from these
I
two
am a middle
assholes for
I am a
20
middle
fucking
child as well,
years.
and I don't do that at all.
Listen, yeah. Anyway, so I I guess the way I came into this was I got hired to work at that esteemed institution
Morehead State University.
for 1 year. They
Yeah.
still send me alumni stuff. Anyway, so I met Joe, and the first time I met Joe, Joe was talking about drinking. And I immediately went, that guy's an alcoholic. And the one person I thought actually I would get along
Is
with,
anybody shocked?
it went the opposite direction. Like there was somebody else that was working there. That's probably who I'll end up working with the most. Nope, ended up working with Joe the most. And just became really close friends. But the story oh, go ahead.
Real quick, in my defense, in that particular job, I felt and I went out of my way to be the most warm and welcoming
You
of
did.
any of
No.
those people.
The
And by the
first
way,
time I
there were
met
some
you-
people that quit and fired for a lot of controversy that happened later, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I did hear a couple of like, well, they all Joe was warm. I will give myself credit for this one thing. Sorry, James.
No, you invited us all over within that first week. We all hung out on your porch at the Renaissance.
Yeah.
Anyway, they called it the porch. Anyway,
That's true.
but so I met Joe that way, and he invited us over, and then I ate his food, and that was it.
And never
then I was
left.
there, never left. But he was like, "Oh, well, you need to meet my friend Chad." And so Chad was working. Were you working nights or weird hours?
I was working. Yeah, I worked till like midnight.
That's what I thought. So he got there, and so he was sleeping while we were working throughout the day. And we were going to meet him for lunch, I think. And so we went back to
I'm
Joe's
sorry, I'm already
apartment.
laughing.
We went back to Joe's apartment, and Chad was asleep. Joe had this couch that weighed 400 metric tons. It was one of the old fold-out couches, but it wasn't fold-out. Chad was just asleep on it. And Joe opened the door, saw that he was asleep, closed the door back, looked at me, and said, "Hey, watch this." Opened the door.
Well, by the way,
walked-
that's also the way you preface it with how I met Harlan Ellison when he told me to go fuck myself. I was like, James, watch
this. Basically, anytime you're with Joe and he goes, "Watch this," you're going to get a story of it. He walks in. Chad is sleeping hard, and I walk in. So I'm walking in the door, and Joe is maybe a foot away from him and screams, "Oh my God, Chad, the blood!" But at the highest volume he can.
All the blood, Chad, all the blood.
Chad levitated off that couch. The way it plays out in my mind, I don't know how he did it. He got like 4 foot of air underneath him immediately and just screamed, "Oh my God!" And I couldn't stop laughing. And there have been, and this is the honest truth. It's still true today. There are times when we'll go somewhere and I'll be in the car and I will hurt from laughing. And I don't do that anywhere else. I'd like to think I have a relatively good sense of humor, but there is no other group of idiots I laugh with half as hard as these two idiots. And it's nobody else
I'm
does
so
it.
sorry. I can't stop laughing.
It's still one of my favorite. Yeah. Oh my God, say the blood. Bam.
I also remember when I was first getting to know James. James, of course, loves books, loves education, loves history, as I love history. But we were sitting at a restaurant and Joe mentioned, so James is an Edgar Allan Poe fan. And I said, "Oh, really? You mean the guy who banged his cousin and died in a ditch?"
Yep.
And James I still remember, "I will murder you."
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I've taken vacations before to go to Edgar Allan Poe conferences and museums and stuff. So yes, no, it is immediately, yes, that's a great story too.
And I think I followed that with, "Oh yeah," and in between that he wrote some shit.
Yes, you did. It is.
Oh my God, Barbara!
It will be in my memoirs.
I have so many stories about being. Chad lived in Louisville for a while. About being, we used to have the Halloween party that we still do. We used to have it at Chad's apartment, and
It started there.
He's being so drunk that only thing he could maneuver was his arm, and his arm would come up. And James can back me up on this. there would be a whole plate of, because I was fatter. Chad wasn't, James wasn't, but I was probably when I was at my fat. The chocolate chip cookies would be there, and all you could see, he would pass out on the floor because I love him. He's my brother, but he's kind of a lightweight sometimes when it comes to alcohol. His hand would come up and just grab a cookie and take it down.
Yeah.
And we'd all start laughing because he couldn't function other than to eat one
Yeah.
more chocolate chip cookie. I watched him at a race in North Carolina, so drunk, we were grilling brats. And why the boneheads were at a NASCAR race in North Carolina in the 2000s is a whole other story, but it's very true. They're grilling brats and they're sizzling. You know how they pop with the juices coming out of them? He was so drunk, he reached down off of the grill, took it, and ate it without it cooling down. And we all thought he was dead.
But there's so many stories without naming names that happen at those events, and one of my favorite ones there was another gentleman that went with us. I use gentleman here diplomatically.
Yeah, and
Um,
diplomatic. We will protect the names to protect the guilty. We will keep the
yeah,
names safe to protect the guilty.
but and this is a true story. We went to Hillbilly Hot Dogs, and if you've never been to Hillbilly Hot Dogs, go. It's a wonderful,
It's in
wonderful trip,
outside of Huntington, West Virginia.
and it's a
Oh, I missed
hot
that
dog
place.
stand in a bus, in a school bus.
It was on Diners, Drive-ins, and Dives.
Yeah, and we were going there. We made it a tradition. We went a few years in a row, but the other gentleman got out, and I had started walking up the hill, and the other
I
gentleman
know what
literally
you're.
ran by me, and I was like, "What are you doing?" His name. And he was like, "I'm getting up this hill, and you and I are going to get in line before they get us kicked out." And I looked back.
He's referring to Joe Lewis and Chad Jennings, by the way.
I looked, well, there was a third person,
There
but
was
I
a
looked
third.
back, and all I see is I don't remember, and they debate who did what. But were you being pulled out on top of Chad, or
What
did he
happened was Chad fell out of a passenger fan into a 3-foot ditch.
on the side of the road? Because
Chad,
there's
am
no
I
parking
right?
on the
It's
side
a
of the road.
Yeah.
foot ditch. I think I remember this correct, right?
Yeah.
And then you pulled me down on top of you, all
Yep.
Hmm.
over 300 pounds of me.
And so anyway, and that's exactly what we did. We went up, we had ordered, and we're at the table, I think, before they made it up to the top of the hill. Because the other gentleman was like, "No, no, no, I'm getting my hot dog before this goes south." And we did. We sat there and ate while they were still in line. It
He
was
passed out and
it
his
was
head
wonderful.
literally hit the hardwood table and it just went
Yes.
pop.
And there was we jokingly referred to them as Hell's Angels, but there was a motorcycle gang of retirees
Yes, that's true.
with Goldwing Hondas, right?
Yep.
Honda Goldwings.
They'd all graduated from from the Harleys and were all on gold wings.
And they literally were, and they were telling us, "Well, you boys driving to that race?" They were heading the exact same way, and they said, "Yeah." And then they introduced me, and they said, "He's our designated driver." And he goes, "We used to do it without one of them. Yeah, you can't do that anymore." And then literally looked over at Chad, who was head on the table, and he go, and one of them went, "He okay? He seems to be having a wonderful time." Yeah, he's fine. I assumed he was. Okay,
Some of the
there
moments
you
where
go.
you can't remember anything the next day, Chad.
Was that the same year as the surface of the sun, where it's
It
the
was the
surface of
same
the
year as the
sun?
Yeah.
surface of the sun to me, and it's the same year with the fish
The fish
head and
story.
the
Yeah, I was going to
float.
say the fish head story that
You
we
want to
can't
tell
say it. We
tell the
can't tell
fish
that.
story? We can
No,
tell that one, can't we?
no, I don't
Why?
know. Because one thing, it's gross.
Well, I
It
don't think
is.
it's
It
that
is.
gross.
It's no.
No, no,
It's
no. We'll
pretty
tell Barbara
fun.
after we stop recording. Sorry, our listeners. You're not
Oh
going to
my
hear this
God,
story.
that one's hilarious.
It is hilarious, but
That's
it's
one of the
gross.
hardest I've ever laughed was at a Red Roof Inn in Statesville, North Carolina.
All three of us sharing a room together.
Well, here,
Yeah.
we'll end with this lightning round of
I don't
who
have
you
to
would
work
all
tomorrow.
want on your bucket list this year as a guest.
I'll go ahead and go because I'm gonna need a minute.
I would love, even though if I could get 20 minutes with John Carpenter and Sam Raimi. I can't wait till Scarefest because I don't think I did a good job with Sam Raimi when I got at LexCon a few years ago. Barbara's heard this story before. I want to do a better job next time. But John Carpenter and Sam Raimi, because Sam Raimi's my favorite director and John Carpenter is a close second. So even though I know he'd be a curmudgeon, I think because we've had some curmudgeons before. Chad, you could tell a really good story about one good curmudgeon.
Yeah, one that I was really excited that I got.
But you know what? We did a good job.
Yeah.
And he lightened up, but it took 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who was it?
Oh, it's Jim Wynorski.
Jim Wynorski.
Okay.
And that's actually one that we got that a lot of people were jealous over.
One of my favorite movies as a kid. And again, it's if you look right here where my finger is pointing, I have an action figure of Swamp Thing there. Swamp Thing, The Return of Swamp Thing was one of my favorite superhero movies as a kid. Made me love Swamp Thing.
I meant to tell you the fact that you brought up Vecna on a previous episode and you said that he made you think of Swamp Thing.
He's an evil Swamp Thing. Yeah.
So thank you for saying that because there's so many things in that TV show that, like Joe has brought up the Robert Englund, Freddie angle with
Krueger, yeah.
Nancy. But when you said Swamp Thing, I thought that's not one that I had even thought of, but now I'm going to see that every time I watch
Yeah.
that
If
TV
you look
show.
at Bernie Wrightson's Swamp Thing, he looks dead
Ah.
up like Vecna
So
in a
thank
lot of
you.
ways. But
I
no,
think you're right, Chad. He's just red version. Yeah.
yeah, he's just a which there is a red version of Swamp Thing. He's the Swamp Thing of Planet Ran.
So, hold on for a second. So, Chad, you're telling me there's a swamp thing that's obscure?
Yeah, on Planet Ran, home of
Holy
Adam Strange.
shit! You must be the king of the geeks.
Okay, hold on.
Nerd.
Let me see.
no.
Let me see if I.
And
Hey,
somehow
Chad,
he's gotten laid. Somehow, some way. At least
they refer
twice.
to it as mating with an Earth woman. So
He's
we have
finally
terms.
made it with an Earth woman. We never say mated, but made it. Yes.
So-
Chad, you were about
my-
to say something before, though.
No, I was going to go into my two.
Yeah, go right ahead.
So I would say Sam Raimi too, but because Joe's gonna, that's Joe. I mean, Sam Raimi, I got to meet him for like all of 5 seconds at Comic-Con, which made my year. But I would probably say like Joe Dante and probably Frank Welker.
That's good.
That's good. But Sam was nice to us.
Yeah, I wish. Yeah, he's one of those ones I would.
We got Chad, if you remember, in his defense, that was me pulling a special favor, and we were the last person going through the line.
Yeah, and I looked at Joe and I told Joe I'm really thankful, but man, I wish I had my Spider-Man poster with me.
He was so
Yeah.
You remember
Uh,
that human being looked exhausted that Saturday
Yeah,
night.
yeah, he was ready to go, and he talked to me for just for a couple of minutes, which meeting one of your heroes is 2 minutes is enough.
What do you think, James?
I have two. One of them's a long shot, but it's somebody that I'm like, I would be fascinated to just talk to him. Would be David E. Kelly, just because the impact on television over the years. I mean,
Andy Kelly, I didn't see
Yeah.
that one coming
Yeah,
unless
me
Chad saw
neither.
that one.
dude, he
Holy
created
shit.
both Doogie Howser, MD, and Boston Legal. How
Oh,
can
I'm
you
not
possibly go
shitting
wrong?
on you, but you used to bitch about Boston, the education show. You was like, that's not TV. The
Vice
guy
President Paul.
son.
Also, he's married to Michelle Pfeiffer.
You
I don't
bitched
know.
about. Do you remember this?
Yeah, I do, and I still
Boston Public?
Boston Public, and I still think that is not a great show. But people loved it.
I want to start out with how this is not education, pulling that gun in the classroom.
Yeah, no, I mean, but that's the entire thing. And he created Ally McBeal. Those are, to me, Ally McBeal and Boston Public are the two that I wouldn't. But I mean, he just created so much. Chicago Hope, for those that don't remember, that was Budget ER.
Wonder
I mean,
Woman.
all of these different shows, and he wrote. He helped develop Mr. Mercedes, so he's
Mr. Mercedes is a fairly decent adaptation of those books, actually.
yeah. So that would be one that I was trying to think of somebody that would go over the length of time. David E. Kelly, somebody that I think we at one point actually we were going to have on the show, and I would love to talk to him because he's the only person, and the guys have heard me say this before, so I'm going to get an eye roll. But the only person that's ever wrote anything that woke me out of a dead sleep, and that's Gabino Iglesias. And I've
Well, haven't
read
you ever got
every.
him?
He
That-
was going to do it, and he won a Bram Stoker Award, and he got busy, and then he like many people is a working author. In other words, he teaches,
Yeah,
he does
people write.
workshops, and he works for a living, and it's hard. I'm hoping one day to get him again to line him up. But Gabino Iglesias, if you never read anything by him, He's got
Coyote
more recent
songs.
works. It's the one his
Coyote songs.
Coyote Songs is his first novel, and it's the one that got to me. And there's a heartbreaking scene in it. Coyote Songs is a series. It's one novel, but it tells different things. It's all about the frontier, the border. And a coyote is somebody that helps people get across the border. But there's a lot of crooked coyotes and what they do. And what's funny is shortly after I read Coyote Songs, it actually did happen where a coyote was afraid of getting caught, so he left people in the back of the trailer truck and they died. He left them
Yeah.
out in the desert in the heat. And that's the part. There's a part of that in the novel that happened before that event actually happened, and it's all supernatural too. And so the Bruja, the witch, because he uses a mix of different languages as would be experienced on the border. Um, you find out that she is the mother of someone who was the last to be alive in that trailer, and it details her being the last to be alive as she watches other people. And I read that. It had an impact on me when I read it. I went to bed that night, and about 3 o'clock in the morning, my eyes flew open because I had been dreaming of being in that truck. And it was one of the most impactful horror novels I've ever read in my life, simply because it didn't matter how you feel about immigration. It didn't matter. That scene was powerful. And I've read everything he's written since, which is all good, but none of them have had the impact that Coyote Songs had. I would love to talk to him. He is, I've stopped using the term living heroes anymore because Harlan Ellison was my last one, but he is definitely someone that every time he brings a book out, I'm going to be in line to buy it
Is this
because
still going?
he has something to say. And that's all I have to say, Chad. Joe, which one are you again?
I
Would one
am
of you
no one
grow a
of
beard
yours.
so I can tell you apart?
So in closing, where can people find you live if you get when you guys do your next live
I guess we'll
show?
do a Facebook Live. I don't know. You tell us how live works. We've never done it other than Facebook Live.
Well, I was
Joe,
going to
do we?
mention Comic-Con.
Yeah, I was about to
Oh
say, are
yeah,
we doing one
well,
at Comic-Con?
ah, that's a great question. I would love to do another one at Comic-Con. I like doing them at Comic-Con and Scarefest. I know that we'll probably do one at Scarefest. I don't know yet about Spawn and Scarefest. Actually, Spawn and Scarefest might be another one we'll do, but we'll definitely try to do one in March. We haven't talked to the person who normally books that yet. She usually saves us a spot. I will say the last couple of years at Comic-Con, our spot has not been advantageous. The timing's been not as great as it has been in Scarefest, but I like doing them. Hopefully we'll have do another one. We usually have Bryce and Ken and just come up and they've been great. They just Bryce does some amazing art and Ken did our original Bonehead Weekly art. So Ken Kirk,
Yeah.
check him out. Bryce O'Quay and Ken Kirk, friends of the show, and they're both wonderful human beings. Before we go, I do have one last question, kind of. So I was watching the Mel Brooks documentary. I don't know if either of the other two
I
have
haven't had a
watched it
chance yet.
yet, of which directed by Judd Apatow, and I loved it. And at the end of it, I didn't realize he found Carl Reiner. Mel was the one that found him dead. Did you all know that when he
No,
fell,
Mhm.
that
no.
Carl was there was
I knew was one of the last to see him, but I didn't know he's the one that found him.
he was the one when Carl went away when he fell, and they came to work on Carl Reiner. If you don't know who Mel Brooks or Carl Reiner is, turn this shit off now and to Google him. And he found him and he holds it together fairly well, but he's 99. He's just turned 100, right, guys, this week? Mel just turned
Mhm.
100. I want you all to comment on this. Have you all ever thought, and I have not thought about it too much, but I've thought about it a little, one of us will have to bury the other two.
Listen, if you come to my funeral, I'm not coming to yours. Anyway, um,
And that's
yeah,
just, I mean,
no.
that's probably, I was thinking about it going, inevitably, that's just how life works. Unless, and I was thinking, and then I started, and Barbara, you'll find this, well, you probably won't find this funny, but maybe the other two will. I, I was thinking, it was because James's line's better than mine. I was like, unless there's some sort of odd Zoom tragedy,
Well,
right?
listen, I wasn't going to say it, but I thought
Tragedy.
this was
Electrocution
a.
by Zoom.
I was.
That probably one of us will have to bury the other two.
One second, real quick. I just need a sidebar. Chad,
Yeah.
You promised me this was a death cult. Is that not what this is? I agreed to this because you told me it was a death cult.
Well, so here's the problem, James. They discontinued Flavor Aid.
Dang it. Well, what can we
Oh,
use? Don't say Kool-Aid. I ain't got Kool-Aid,
I've
buddy.
thought about
Um,
You know those jugs?
oh, hugs.
which ones, the ones up
The
here?
hugs. The
Are they
hugs.
called hugs? I thought they were
The
called
little,
jugs.
Oh,
no,
hold
Yeah,
well,
hugs.
on. Are you talking
yeah,
about the Save-A-Lot version of the
yeah,
Kool-Aid, the cheap shit
yeah,
Kool-Aid?
Yeah,
yeah.
Like
but then I'll get lazy.
the
Then I'll
little
get
thing?
lazy, and I'll just get Nick and Nips.
What the hell's a Nick and Nip?
Oh, you haven't lived, sir, until
Oh,
you've had a
good
Nick.
Lord, Joe.
Anyway, no,
Don't you start
seriously,
fucking around with me, you two assholes. What's a Nick?
Nick does.
seriously, seriously, Joe. To your point. Now, I think about this because that's one of the things, and
Do you think about this a lot? Because one of
I
us
do,
was sick earlier this year, and
I
then one
do.
of us was sick a few years ago, fairly serious, and then eventually we're all three getting towards. I'm the oldest, but we're all getting towards middle age. We're in our middle age,
No,
kindly in our middle age.
if my family history is any side, I'm past middle age. I'm more than halfway through. My half life is more than over, and that's the thing that
Dad, way past it. He's got
I
like 2 minutes.
often I often think about though, and it's literally some people have said before because I had to have genetic screening and everything done, and before they
Oh
did
my
the
God,
results.
I asked too serious of a
No,
question.
no. Before they did the results, they said, "Do you really want to know? You can just tell us you don't want to know, and we destroy the file." And I said, "Yeah, of course I want to know." And they said, "A lot of people get to this point and they say they don't want to know." And I'm like, "I want to know because it's comforting to me in some level, right? I don't have to worry about my retirement as much." Like, what do you mean? I check out at 72? Awesome. I need enough money to make it to 72. And I say it half jokingly, but there's some comfort in that, not to be morose, but I do look at my father, and a lot of his friends have outlived him, and a couple have passed away since he passed away. And he hasn't, like, he didn't have to go through that.
Yeah,
I
there's a
watched,
positive. That's
I watched them go through losing him because my dad was in his 70s. His friends were 70, and he had some friends that were older than him that were in their late 70s, early 80s. My dad was in his early 70s, but it was it's one of those things that I mean, I can remember them. I'll just tell the darkest joke that I couldn't stop laughing at. One of my dad, the guy that introduced my dad and mom together on their first blind date, at after the funeral, has always been a friend to our family, obviously, but he looked at me and he called me Dub because my dad called me JW, which got shortened to Dub. He looked at me and he goes, Dub, I'm gonna miss you, Dad. I said, I know, we all are. And he goes, but he would do anything to get out from having to be a pallbearer at my funeral. And I couldn't stop laughing. I could not stop laughing. And that gentleman sadly has passed away since. And I went to his funeral. And it is, but that's it. And that's the way I view it. And so I'm hoping that you all live another 80 years and I'll live another 79.
well. So we're at James's dad's funeral.
It was a social event of the season because it
No,
happened during COVID.
friend of ours who I got smacked and hit once, and it was true, but it was his mom's funeral was the social event of the year. I won't say who or anything else, but it was, right? But we
Yeah.
were at your dad's funeral. It was in the middle of COVID. Chad, do you remember this?
Yes.
What did we ask him about? Do you remember? It was about
I,
his sister and if she still looked good. It's just those kinds of jokes that have kept us, I don't know, sane. I was watching that documentary just in the last 24 hours. I was trying to get 30 minutes here and 30 minutes there, and these guys know what I'm talking about. You got kids and whatnot. And I finally finished both nights, and I've got really, Chad James said, morose. I got sad. I was sitting there thinking about finding his friend and living to 100, and it was just, I started thinking about all, like one of us will bury the other two, unless there's some sort of strange accident, unless one of these motherfuckers moves to southern Mississippi again. I'm looking at you, Dr. Jerkface.
Dude, listen, I did it once and it still worked out.
And we have to move him back or something like that. That's how life happens. And it's beautiful and it's sad. And I was very sad. And then I started thinking about, and I'm glad James brought it up. We've been at people's funerals and made jokes. And I hope
There,
And when people ask me, because back to leading right through what we were talking about, Barbara, we both were interviewed by the same person. And when people ask me about my best friends, my brothers, or my biggest influences are always, they're not horror, they're Mel Brooks, George Carlin, and the Pythons. And when we talk about Monty Python, and when the first one died, and John Cleese is giving the eulogy, he's talking about, well, he's the first person that said shit on British television. This bastard's finally dead. I'm going to be the first one that says fuck during the eulogy that's televised, and I want that. We
yeah,
both, all three, sit at eulogies. James and I were sitting in a dear friend of ours that died several years ago, and they were telling a lie, or people were talking about him, and in a sense of, we didn't know this person, about he
yeah,
would never say a bad thing about anybody, and we were all looking, James and I were looking at each other, and our other two friends were 8 rows up, and then turned around to look at us in this crowded room, standing room only, right, James?
yeah. We were standing in the back. There was no
We're
more
standing back,
room.
there was nowhere to sit, and we're like, he would, if you said anything, it's like, no, let's call him John. That bastard would talk about anybody behind, just
The
tell the
first
truth,
time
tell
I
jokes.
met him. The
So
first time I met him, he went out of his way going, "Oh, you going to work with them?" Yeah, yeah, I'm going to. Let me tell. And he was angry about something that I didn't know about, and it had nothing to do with you all, but it vaguely involved you all 5 years earlier.
yeah, it's just who he was. So I hope, if it's me, that the other two tell the actual truth and tell some
Yeah.
jokes.
No, and you mentioned it, and that's all I was going to say. You mentioned Mel Brooks and Carl Ryan. I was going to say I want exactly what you said. Graham Chapman's death, and the fact that if you all, I say keep Bonehead going if I go first, and do it the way
I
they
can't
have
do
with
it
him.
without the other two.
I do it like they did without him, where they would bring out the when they did live events and they would bring out the urn.
Bring out his ashes and
And
accidentally spread them, and accidentally, and then they would bring out the dustbuster because they would spill them. They
yeah,
did it a
yeah,
couple times.
yeah, and that's it. That to me is hilarious because he's still part of the show, right? I mean, even the live reunion they did the
And they
last.
didn't like each other. At least we all three like each other.
Yeah, yeah. And so that's it. And so you hit the nail on the head. And I gave some sideways answers there, but I mean that's really it. It's whatever it is. God, make it funny.
Yeah.
I hope I go out in a hilarious way. I'll tell one story that shows. You say I don't show some of my
Yeah.
humor. This is not me. The final thing I'll say before we wrap up. I had a supervisor once, and he made a comment, and somebody said, "If you keep living that way, you're going to die young." And he deadpan in a very professional setting. It surprised me. He went, "If I go, I want to go with my mouth stuffed full of Oreos and a hooker on my lap," and walked out the door. And it will never leave my head. One of the best supervisors I ever had.
Chad, what do you got to end? Because I know you got to go.
Just you can close an episode talking about death. That's what
Thank you to you guys for giving people something to laugh about because your show is so funny. I can understand why Mick likes the episodes where it's just you three bantering because it's Chef's Kiss. So thank
You're too
you.
kind.
Thanks.
Say this is Bonehead Weekly.
Rest in peace.
The conversation that kind of got started that caused us to hit record again was, I said there's been times when I've had my feelings hurt doing the show and stuff, but it's usually not, I don't want to say long term. Usually it's if I've had a bad day, if I've had, and my
Right.
nerves are already raw, it's going to get bad. And then it made me remember our former producer, Haley. Her
Mm.
father once gave me one of the best backhanded compliments. I don't even know if backhand is appropriate there. But after I stopped working in the office where he worked, would go back and just see him sometimes because I really liked hanging out with him. And I went in one day and he said, "I don't know how you do it." And I said, "What did I do?" And he said, "You can talk to people, even argumentative people, and they will be mad at you in the moment." And I was like, "Yes, yes, they will be. Several times it's happened. Yes." And he goes, "But nobody's mad at you long term." He said, "Now they may not want to talk to you again. They may not," but he goes, "But nobody," he said, "I sat here, and it was an office area. So, right, people come in and be like, I got to deal with so and so." And he goes, "And nobody ever says, I don't want to ever deal with him again. I honestly sit with that sometimes. And I'm like, is it because I'm so milk toast? Or can I take it as a compliment and be like, I'm not like I don't argue just to argue. Like it really takes, and I think most people that know me, I think would realize that ultimately I may give them crap for preferring I almost said Bad News Bears. Why can't I think of Police Academy?
Police
For like Police
Academy
Academy.
and Super Troopers, you
Yes.
drunk bastard.
No, I may give you all crap for like Police
You
Academy better,
son
but at
of
the
a
end of the
bitch,
day,
drunk bastard.
yeah, I'm stone cold sober. But anyway,
Know who you are, but you and your alcoholism have really.
I've let myself go. What I've realized is a lot of it is, I mean, I do care what they think. And actually I've taken recommendations for films from them for years and stuff that I haven't seen. But at the end of the day, does it really matter if I prefer Super Troopers and they prefer Police Academy? No,
No
not
one
really.
cares.
No one cares. And that's the entire thing too. And that's
Mm.
Patton Oswalt has a comment about that in one of his stand-ups. He said, when you're in your 20s and 30s, you think, oh, I need everybody to understand that, this is the best culture and then you get to 40 and you just realize if it's not hurting anybody and they want to watch SpongeBob reruns in their under, well, let them watch it. What does it hurt?
Be
If it,
kind.
yeah. And that's it. And that's why ultimately most of what we talk about on the show is just here's what we like. And we don't agree. And that's fine. There's some people that come back and say, and every blue moon, I'll look to see if there are comments. And I went back through some of the old comments where people are like, James is right about this. And then there's some, I'll be honest, one of the episodes that I still, the first
This a
negative,
Vincent Price. Are we going Vincent?
yes, it's the first negative comment we ever got, the first dislike we ever got, the episode that I wanted to do. We did
We
what,
still have
four?
never done my Orson Welles episode.
No, but we did 4 episodes on Stephen King, or 3. Was it 3 or 4?
Yes, but by God,
No,
we
no, but
did
but
2 episodes.
nobody. We beat Stephen King into the ground. Didn't get disliked. I do 1 episode on Vincent Price, and I still don't know who disliked it. I mean, not that it matters either.
So did someone just they gave
Yep,
it like a
thumbs down.
thumbs?
But I was like, Vincent Price, really? Like we've done somewhere. I'm like, I thought we were harsher on other stuff or kinder on other stuff that may not need it. I mean, we've let Chad be positive about Garbage Pail Kids, the movie,
Well,
several
we've
times.
never and when Barbara was interviewing us and we totally took over and I apologize. We didn't even talk about any kind of our favorite episodes.
Do you have a favorite, Joe?
I have ones that I love telling. So I love the director of House on Haunted Hill,
William Malone.
Bill Malone. Him talking about his dad and
That's a
him
great
seeing the
story.
Beatles concert and the strip club. His dad taking his mom while he dropped him off at the Beatles in Detroit, and his dad taking his mom to the strip club. Right,
Because they had a buffet,
they had a buffet, and
a
and they
really good
burned him
buffet, he said.
down, and they lost the kid, and him getting arrested. It's just a fantastic story. I love that. I loved back to you're talking about Paul Hirsch, the Academy Award winner, talking about I think in my head, I know I will eventually. I've told Barbara this before. When it's all said and done, I want to go back and listen to them, and I'm sure I'll cringe most of the time. But Paul Hirsch talking about Joel Schumacher and him calling him up and saying, I did not get into the movie business. One of my favorite quote we ever got from anybody ever is this. Paul Hirsch, the director Joel Schumacher, calling him up, who's a flamboyant dude, and you Google him, directed The Lost Boys, DC Cab, which is Chad's got the original one sheet, saying, Paul, I did not get into the movie business to watch rushes. And rushes is when they would print the film so they could see what they had, whatever. I got into the movie business for the blowjobs and the sunglasses. And I have kept that in my heart because I wanted to say so many times on stage, I got into comic conventions not for this, but for the blowjobs and the sunglasses.
Glad. It's
Sunglasses and the
The
blow. I
sunglasses that
just,
somebody stole.
yeah, right. And it's
Yes.
funny if you know me even more because I do have a thing for. If there's ever better of just a human condition being funny,
Which
a multi-million-dollar movie, and he was editing Falling Down, right, James? Was
and that's the
which is
funny
not a
part about
funny
that
movie.
too. What makes that story that much better is if you pull it up right now, you don't have to watch the episode. Look at Paul Hirsch.
Yeah.
Paul Hirsch looks like literally a kindly grandfather type. And so when he tells that
And I
story,
am not telling the worst story he told.
and there's stories that we've gotten going back to,
She uses a C word, Barbara.
What?
Well, listen
I'll
to
say
the
it like Joe. What?
whole. You could tell he had his little suit on, and it's like, Jesus, why did I agree to do this with these three fucking rednecks? You can see it all over his
yep.
face.
I
And
think
but
he ended up
point,
having a good time.
but yes, that's exactly right. I think 90% of our people was like, oh God, why did I say to do this? And 90% of you realize you get past the accent, you get past all this, and you go, oh, these are fellow geeks.
Yeah.
We're
And
talking
we
about
appreciate we don't interview people that we don't admire what they do. I love it when a plan comes together. Anyway,
if
it,
it, I don't think this is a cigar.
I use
I
that line a
listen.
lot, James. I love it when a plan comes together.
I was in a meeting of faculty, and somebody actually did an A team reference, and I literally across the room yelled out, "I love it when a plan comes together." The other guy applauded. Nobody else in the room knew what we were talking about.
They're so young. We are getting old. This Gen X thing is getting, well, James, you're barely Gen X.
Yeah,
Gen
no,
X is going to be the new boomers.
which is as it should be. There's
That's
and Joe
how
and
it
I talked about
works.
this the other day. Patton Oswalt had a joke, and he said, right now he's considered, quote unquote woke. He is called by his critics as a woke comedian. He goes, but at some point I won't be because I'll be old. I'll be too old to be woke, and there'll be something that I disagree with because I'll be old, and I'll mention it in my stand up, and I'll get canceled because that's no longer, it'll be like, oh,
Right. Right.
we want to have sex with test tubes. I'll be like, we didn't have sex with test tubes that's his line. And he was like, and people will be like, he's anti-sex with test, and they'll cancel me. And that's how life's supposed to work. You get too old to function in that area, and you just stop. And that's retirement. That's whatever. And I'm like, yeah, there's validity to that. Like at some point, I'm going to want to talk on a podcast about Back to the Future or, something, and people are going to be like, nobody cares anymore. I mean, Back to the Future is 1980s. When does your pop culture become nostalgia?
I've
Oh,
talked to Barbara about as far as the convention work of eventually no one wants the gray-haired guy up there.
to
Unless
a
the
certain
gray hair
extent,
guy makes them laugh.
though, but I'll be honest, and it's never going to happen. It's one of the ones that, by the way, God, that's
Thank
somebody
you,
I'd like
Barbara.
to be on. That's who I should have said I'd like to have on the show because I'm never going to get to meet him at a convention. John Aston.
Ugh.
John Aston,
We've
80, what?
tried.
I know. I know. I know. 80,
I
he's got to
tried,
be
and I think you
89,
tried.
90.
Oh, he's almost 100.
Yeah.
He's in his 90s.
Going back to all this, just ruminations on life and everything. It's like, I don't plan on it. Knock on, well, I don't think this has ever seen wood, but
Well, your
the,
penis has never seen wood.
yeah.
Jesus.
Um,
No, it's seen Jesus.
there's a,
You guys seen that 28 years later Bone Temple?
Oh my
I
God.
have not.
Hopefully you're not overly religious.
Um,
I guess they didn't put the ding dong in the next one.
Oh, there's tons of dicks in Bone Temple.
Really?
Barbara.
Well, I didn't see that
well, it's
one
right
yet.
there in the title. Sorry.
Oh
Because they
my
made
God, you can't wait till next week and you watch my Scarefest review. It starts with, if you ever wanted to see what Voldemort's penis looks like.
Oh my God. That's
Well,
hilarious.
now you're just going to sell tickets.
I'm here for Ray Fiennes
Yeah, I'm
Uh,
gonna have to.
because he was ballsy.
Ah.
Because
Now,
I would have,
I've
I
got
would
to
have
ask
been
this
like,
question, Joe,
yeah,
and
I love
and
the movie, by the way.
How do you
and take
follow
it.
up with the ding dongs?
I liked Bone Temple almost better than I did 28 years later.
I,
Really?
I
Yes. I was the only one in the theater and found myself, and James is going to laugh at me because he knows exactly what I'm talking about. James, you know exactly. I literally at a certain point towards the end of it found myself doing this and went, "Are you a fucking idiot? You're the only person in this movie theater."
You are so lucky, by the way, that you got to go by yourself and they have the whole place
I
That's
Is your
actually,
kingdom.
towards the last 20 minutes of it, because I got that kid snack pack, I was like, I need steps. I started walking.
You
It's
did
just
not.
me in between and last. Jay knows what I'm
but
talking about, the pacing
yeah.
thing. And back, I
Well, by
didn't.
the way, speaking, that's actually how I saw Mandy, and it was such a great movie to see by myself in an empty theater where violating the fire marshal rules, the exit signs had burned out, so it was pitch
Oh,
black in there. It was so immersive in that theater.
Can't do that no more.
Well, no, I mean they weren't supposed to there, but it burned out, and I wasn't like part of me. I had about that 5 minutes of that old risk management training from Red Life, going. I should tell them
Yep.
about that, and I'm like, I'm going to sit down and watch my movie.
You sit down to eat your fruit snacks. The lady gave me a hot. There was a sign on the door that said free hot chocolate. It was there was 4 cars in the parking lot. I bet 3 of them was employees, and they're all 15 years old behind the counter Saturday. And I walked in. And I bought my ticket, and I said, I can get it over here. Can I talk to a human being? She goes, you're fine. You can talk to a human being. And I bought my ticket, and I said, I'd like my hot chocolate. He goes, you have to buy, no, it says free on the door. He goes, you're absolutely right. And it's because there's a hair here. I was like, it's fine, dude. Just give me the hot chocolate. So weird. And then I bought they were just so, and I slipped her $2 or $3.
yeah.
Anyway,
So you always buy snacks? You always buy snacks? Or you never sneak your own
no,
snacks in?
no, I used to always sneak my snacks in, and then it wasn't, James knows this. I wouldn't eat popcorn for most of my life. And then, some odd reason, when I almost died 10 years ago, back this October, I have a hankering every once in a while for movie theater popcorn with lots of butter. It has to have tons of butter. So, what I found since I've had gastric sleeve is if I just buy the kids thing, I can get an icy, which I love. And then I can get just the right amount of popcorn and a fruit snack.
Oh, they have a fruit snack that comes with it?
It
Stop
comes with the
it.
kids one if you buy the kids one, yeah. And then she put so much popcorn that it leaked in and it was all over the little stand thing you put on the front of it. I was wiping it off at the end of the theater, realizing nobody was in the theater, could care less. But I was
What
sitting
do those kids say these days? She understood the assignment.
there,
Yeah,
got the assignment. She was lovely. Yeah. Sorry,
she had skippity your Ohio. I don't know what that
she
means, but
skibbity toileted my butter. I
So
don't
yeah.
James, do you sneak your own snacks in?
No, I mean now I'll be
you
honest.
have
My
before.
wife was notorious for it.
Your wife was notorious for sneaking in my penis.
Jesus.
Not to my knowledge, but
Not
I mean,
Jesus, mine.
I think it was pronounced Jesus. Anyway, the
Hey, Seuss. Stop
uh
calling
And
me
it's not who
Jesus.
you think he was.
Calling me Jesus.
anyway, the no, and one of the reasons is I believe it or not, and as much as I am that guy, and it's a large part of it comes from the way I was raised. I'm a stickler for some of that stuff, to my detriment usually, and knowing that they don't care. I, unlike Joe, don't have a certain amount of popcorn I want. I want all the popcorn, and I will eat it till I am
You
sick.
never do that when we were with me. The
I
corn,
Because he
miss
doesn't want
the
your cootie fingers in that bucket,
no,
Joe. He just wants
I
it to
miss
himself.
the. It's gone now,
Peter
but there
fingers.
was an old dollar theater Joe and I went to several times in Chad.
My God.
It was a dollar theater. It was,
The
right
AMC.
before it left. Yeah. Well, it was AMC bought out before that. It was something else. But an AMC, when they bought out, made it no longer a dollar, which hurt my feelings. But it was a dollar 50 forever.
It was the dollar, and then it went to two something.
They
Gee,
had the best popcorn on the planet. And I don't know why.
I wonder if
Like,
they
there's
used
nothing
real
special.
butter.
That's funny,
Maybe.
James, because I would never buy the popcorn. So I didn't like. And then post death, I only remember buying it there a couple of times.
Maybe it
It
was
was
the
it,
atmosphere. I don't know, man. But it was Dana loved it too. And so we would
it,
go every year. They would do, if you went within the first 2 weeks in January,
you could get the popcorn bucket.
yeah, and it was a dollar refill, but before they got bought up by
Yeah.
AMC. And so we would sit there and we would take the kids any movie they wanted to see because they were young then. So it was like, oh, you want to go see Monster Truck? Sure, get in the car. And it was $4 for us all to get in. And then it was a dollar popcorn. Yeah, that's what we're having for dinner. Like there was one
Put
time
broccoli in it.
I probably bought 5 refill buckets of popcorn, and it wasn't the kids eating it. I mean, they did, but it was, and I literally walked out going, and I looked at Dana going, I don't feel so hot. And she goes, your
Oh,
stomach a little tight? And I'm like, yeah, a bit.
I forgot completely. I still have two or three of the buckets still here
Yeah,
in my garage.
yeah, yeah.
You
No, I,
have an AMC near you, Barbara?
no, for here it's Marcus Theater.
Marcus is what I went to with the
movie
lady,
tavern.
the free hard shot. It
Yep.
is a movie tavern where you can order food and
Was
drinks
it?
and stuff.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yep, because
Marcus is,
Mississippi, they had Marcus, but it wasn't movie tavern. It was something else. But yeah, it was the
but
Grand. The Grand 16 was owned by Marcus.
and there, I mean, there's different ones that offer different things. Ours was offering the free hot chocolate too. Not this time, but was one of those like deep freeze weekends or something. And they were saying free hot chocolate if you come out. I was like, oh, I'm tempted, but not really. I'm not
Well,
leaving.
by the way, the fact that it used to be air conditioning used to be the selling point for movie theaters.
Really?
I know, right?
Yeah, I mean, because even the Kentucky, you can find old pictures of it where it's like air conditioning. It was right above like air conditioning, and then what movies were showing.
I'm actually enjoying walking down memory lane, even though people will think I'm the biggest asshole out of the three of us. I think I'm the one with the most sentimentality.
I agree with that to a large extent. I mean, there's certain things that get to me, and
I am more
it's
apt, like Chad was giving me shit about, ooh, but people dying. I am more apt to have those thoughts and express them and express how I feel about them than the other two.
I internalize a lot, so a lot of my stuff is not healthy, but it's I just
What do you
sit
think,
on it.
James? Do you think I'm more apt to say also to look at somebody and go, I love you, thank you so much?
Yeah,
Well,
I
I
think
think
that's I think
But I'm also the biggest asshole.
well, I mean, and take this for what you will, Joe, but it's your passions are obvious. When you don't like something, you don't hide it well.
Thank you. Is that a compliment?
It is. I think it is. It's.
I don't know.
I find it's one of the things that I find endearing about you is I never have to worry about what you think. You don't
I
have
have
a
no
post.
idea what you find
I
endearing. I don't
appreciate
think
that though
people
in
understand
people.
why we're friends.
A couple people in my life that have really had major impact, and a couple have passed away. Um, but one of them told me something, and actually I shared it with my kids the other day, and I think it's the most important thing because my daughter was having some issues. Like, well, they hang out with me sometimes, and sometimes they don't. And I don't know how they really feel about me. I said, listen, do they call you out on your crap? Which, by the way, my daughter was like, what? And I said, listen, one of the best things I was ever told by somebody that meant a lot was that, your good friend is the one that's going to tell you, hey, your fly's down. And they're not going to care about where you are. They're not going to be like, let me pull you aside. They're going to be like, you need to know now because you need to address that noise. That's your friend. They're doing what's best for you in that moment, and they do not care about how they look saying it because that means they were looking at your fly or what they care about you and they're doing what's best for you. And I didn't realize when somebody said that to me that because they said they're like that's the type of friend that I'm going to be to you, and they were right. And it's something that I'm like that's what I need because I can find people that will just say, "No, you're brilliant." Yeah, I'm not, but okay, good,
Do you pay them
dude. Believe me, and there's,
for the
and I don't
brilliance?
get it either. But I've actually had people say that to me, and I'm like, no, I work. None of this comes easy. None of it does. Not to
It's
me,
all
maybe to some
imposter
people.
syndrome.
Yeah, it is. But I think that's it. And so going to that point, I love the fact that, quite frankly, Joe, I think if my fly was down, you tell me, I think you would call me
I'd
out
be
on
the
my
first
crap.
person to suck you. I mean, I'd be the first person to let you know that your penis
I'll
was.
be there in 20 minutes. I don't care about this weather. I'll get the snow
It's
dogs going.
it's salty outside and in.
But anyway, no, I seriously, I think that's it. I think so much of that, and Joe's now got me thinking about memory
About
lane. I found out a while back that one of the people that made my college experience infinitely better died, and I didn't know he died right as COVID was in it, and I assume that's what it was. Um, he was just one of the most fascinating, just my car broke down once. He not only came and picked me up, but he was like, "Oh no, you need Chinese food to sit on that." And so he took me to a Chinese buffet, and when Joe's heard me actually say, my girlfriend before Dana, I referred to and still do as ever beloved ex. It's the only person I got as close to as I did Dana. And when she
You were
broke
close
up with
to
me,
me.
well, no, yes, but we weren't going to be as intimate. You weren't going to bear my children. Something about biology. Anyway, um,
You don't know that for
when
sure.
she broke up with me, I'll never forget. I went back and he saw me. He just knew. I don't know how he knew, but he knew, and he was like, "Hey." He called me the king of jiggy, but that's a different story. He said, "Hey, king," he said, "Let me tell you something." And I said, "What?" And he said, "Anybody ever tell you your statistics?" And I said, "No." "What do you mean statistics? I suck at math." And he goes, "Here's the statistics you need to keep in mind in relationships and in everything else." I said, "Okay." And he said, "You're in Lexington, Kentucky. Let's just say ballpark, 500,000 people in this town, day in, day out, flying in, flying out. That's more than that, but let's make it easy. 500,000 people. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, let's say half of those are women. Technically, genetically, we're advantaged because there's more women than men, but let's say half. That's 250,000 people, right? Okay. Yeah. Let's say only 10% of those women are in the age range you'd be interested in. What are you at? 25,000, right? Yeah. So, okay, sure. And he said, no, no, let's say only 10% of those would be interested in you. You're at 2,500. I said, okay. And he goes, now let's say only 10% of those you're interested in. What are you at? And I said, 250. And he goes, so the next time somebody tells you they're not interested, you need to look at them and say, screw you. I got 249 other people waiting for me. And you walk the hell away.
I love that.
I have started to, I haven't worded it quite that way, but I'm going to start telling my kids that because there have been times, and so I refer to it as statistics. And he's passed away since he passed away really young. He worked it with at kids camps and with kids with different needs and stuff. He's just a phenomenal human being. Was an RA with me, and I still sometimes think about that. And that's what it all boils down to. It's all happy happenstance, and it's all how do you want to look at it. And so when things go bad, I'm trying to get myself to think more like he did and think about the statistics. 249 other people waiting for me. See ya.
It's funny because you think it's all happenstance and accidents, happy accidents.
There is a quote, and I don't know who it's from. I want to say Einstein, but I don't know if it's Einstein or not. But something about it's happy accidents if you work to be prepared.
So that's what I was thinking is that so it's been on my mind and I talked to you a little bit about it because the guy named Matt who's writing the history of Scarefest spent over 2.5 and he did 2 hours with Barbara the other day and she and I have talked about it a little bit. And I know one of the things I've been most criticized about, and this is before Bonehead or any of the convention stuff. This is just in my career about not being self-deprecating and not building myself more up. But he had a lot of questions about me and about your confidence and where it comes from and his perspective, which is completely different than mine. And he actually it was towards the end, towards the if you just listen to you, it's all just a happy accident. But he is right, but I am also wrong, and I'm also right. It's part of it is a happy accident, but to me it is you have to kind of be prepared for the happy accident.
Yeah, well, and that's it.
And
And
being
you
able
have
to
to say
say because
yes.
there was 2 or 3 years into Scarefest where it almost blew up, and I got mad over food. I remember it clearly because and it was somebody who's no longer associated about the food they were. I was like, if you guys can't fucking feed me, and this was before Brandon bought it, why am I even doing this? And looking back at it, I want to smack the shit out of myself
Why would you say that?
because Barbara, I know what the 10 years looks like.
But I think
You
that's
understand?
also
Yeah.
But there is a point, and James knows what I'm talking about, where they were bitching about feeding volunteers. And then they did this whole 10-year thing for me, not only the video, but just this last week where I had to write my thing out. And it goes back to what you were saying is, well, is it just luck, or is it just where opportunity meets you've been preparing for something your whole life?
And are you willing
And,
to say yes?
and am I willing to say yes? And there is a point where I look back of where I've like, oh my God, you almost fucked it up.
The older I get, the more I have to realize you can be completely right and not be right at the time.
Well,
I
how long do
think,
you think you want to go, James? I've tried to talk about this with you, but we really don't talk about our feelings or personal things that are going on. And usually by the time we're done recording the episode, we don't,
well, you all have to go.
we all have to, I'm tired. Chad's almost always exhausted or has something to do with almost always. And then I'm usually tired. And then James is the one who's talky.
When doing Bonehead becomes a job, when I
It,
literally,
oh,
when I,
sometimes it is a job for me, and sometimes I get aggravated. Barbara's heard more about this than probably you have, because a lot of times a lot of it falls on me. If like I've got to get it put up, I've got to go back through.
yeah, you have, it's much more of a job to you. There's no doubt in my mind.
I can complain about those things, but I will never, when one of us is gone, and this is and it's a beautiful thing, and I don't mean for it to be sad, but back to what you were talking about, it's like, oh, I only have Joe. I'm an extrovert who has tons of friends, but I'm only really close to a half a dozen people.
Yeah.
And as far
It's,
as that laughing hard, we're riffing off each other, but we're going to do, there's only two other human beings on earth I'll ever do that with. We got in a knockdown drag out about was it Carl Jr.'s or Hardy's? It was about the fried chicken at the gas station. We're going across the road at oh my God, what was it? What was it? It's the one where Jack in the Box. There's nobody else where fists could be thrown about the fried chicken at the gas station or Jack in the Box across the road, and we end up doing both.
both. Yep. Oh, by the way, I quoted you the other day, Joe, to my kids because they were. It's a few weeks ago, I guess now, but they were arguing over where they wanted to go. Like one of them wanted Sonic, the other one wanted KFC or something, and we were on Richmond Road.
Yeah,
They're across, and I literally was like, "I'm grown. I'll take you to both. Just tell me what you."
that's it. I've told my kid, I was like, oh my God, because everybody else, it's like a huge thing. I was like, no, we're all grown. We can go to two different places.
Yeah, it's fine. It turns out they don't check. They don't say, "Hey, do you have any other food in the car?" And if they do, I'd be like, "Yeah, take my money and give me what I ordered."
Guy
But
at,
doesn't it feel illegal though? You're like, I just bought food. This feels illegal to go
no,
somewhere
it
else.
doesn't. It used to, but it doesn't. Even after losing almost 100 pounds, it does not, because there's an older gentleman at the Taco Bell, because my kid
I
has a
love that
thing
guy.
for taco. You know exactly who I'm talking about. He's always so nice. He's our age.
He stopped me once. This is a true story. My wife loves
I didn't know we knew the same guy, Barbara, to right now.
my wife loves chicken chalupa, not the beef chalupa. It's gotta be chicken. So I was like, I'm gonna get a $5 box, and then I was gonna order her a chicken chalupa, and I put in the order, and I got up to pay. He goes, "I can't take your money." I'm like, "Oh my God, what have I done?" And he goes, "I need you to tell me you want me to cancel that order." And I was like, "What?" And he goes, "Tell me to cancel the order." And I said, "What?" And he says, "Did you say cancel the order? Okay. Now what you wanted was a $7 box, which I can substitute out, and it's a $5 box. Same thing as a $5 box, and it comes with a chicken chalupa the way you wanted, and it will save you $3. Is that what I heard you say, sir?" And I'm like, "Yes, it was. Yes, it was." And he sat there and talked to me. And he saw I was wearing a Butler shirt with the Bulldog on it. He goes, "Bulldogs? Is that a local high school?" I'm like, "No, I work for Butler." And he goes, "Where's that at? Indiana?" He goes, "Oh, Indianapolis, yeah." And talks to me for 3 minutes while they fix my order.
Oh my
And
God,
that
I
is
have
how
seen
you get a
guys.
deal on your food.
He's right. There's always 12-year-olds, and there's this one guy that's our age, and they're in his mid 40s. He's got 5 kids, by the way. I've talked to him so many times.
Oh no, he every time I see him, and now he knows me because there was another guy. I don't know how.
Ah,
And I'm an introvert, but he's just so nice. He was like, and once he saved me money, I was like, "Dude, what do you do here?" He was nothing but. There was a guy that worked there
I tell him
before
to go
him.
fuck himself. He's never saved me a goddamn dime.
Yeah, you should. My buddy said,
He
"No,
didn't
My
take
buddy,
pity on you, Joe. You must have looked like you had money.
that four-eyed fuck that was here earlier.
Now, in all fairness, I was still probably driving the not the, no, I wouldn't have been driving
Hold
that
on,
car
hold
that
on.
time.
He would have said something like this. So,
The
You've seen Star Trek.
there was a guy that worked at that location before, and my wife and I have been trying to figure out what happened to him because every time we went through the drive-through, they always had him work the drive-through, and he had a radio voice, like perfect. And it would be like, "Welcome to Taco Bell. What can I get for you today?" And then you'd pull over, and his voice was very much, radio. But then he was a very thin African American guy
That's
that
not
did
this
not
guy.
match his voice at all. And every time though, and Dana and I weren't together, and I said, "There's a guy that works at that Taco Bell that has a perfect radio voice," and she goes, "You got him too." I said, "Yes, but he doesn't look like his voice." No, he doesn't. But it is anyway. Now we wonder what happened to him, and I almost asked the guy, I'm like, "What happened to radio voice guy?" And I was like, "If he goes who, I don't know what else to say." Sorry,
That's great.
But
but
do
at the
you have?
drive-through.
I just realized it's almost 1 o'clock. Do you have any more questions for us?
No, I love how he told me to record. Remember, James?
Yep, yep.
No, I'm still at the office and I have a 23-minute drive home.
Oh my God, go to bed.
And now,
Go
what
to
time is it
bed.
Like
there? Are
3
you
hours
Central Time?
behind us.
I'm 1 hour behind
Okay, so it's 11:30. Yeah. When is Lexington Comic Con?
to the
27th. I
Okay,
said the
good.
28th. Yeah.
Good, 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 good. That's because the March 19th through the 21st, I think I'm in Texas. It's the one conference I'm the rock star at, where people are like, "Oh my God, it's Dr. Thomas." And every year I'm like, "God, you are sad."
Wait,
But
what is that conference in
it's
Texas?
a history of education conference. And
Everybody's going, Barbara. I can't believe you don't already have
wait,
your
did you
ticket.
not get your invite?
Did you
No, we
not?
need to
No,
put your
Oh my
glasses back
God.
on.
it is
Hold on.
it is
Here he goes.
Yo,
it is the
you have
only
not got your invite for that. It's the history of education. He's going to tell you all about it.
it
It's
is
going to be
the
so
only
exciting.
Is it going to be lit?
So,
oh it
I don't
is
know what that means. We don't smoke at these things. It's bad for you. Don't be a dumb bitch.
my God, we would never say that. We would say strumpet. We're a history conference.
Don't be a strumpet, you
What the hell is a strumpet?
monster. It's like a hoe.
Oh my God.
It's the only place where I started getting emails in December going, "Now you will be at this event, right?"
Oh,
And I'm like,
James, that is cool though.
but it is. It's Joe said it best. You have to understand that rock stars or faculty are rock stars in a room this big. Get me it among other educational historians, and if there's 15 of them, 3 of them have read my work at this point, which is not major. I'm not a huge name to conjure
It's
with or
30
anything.
or 40% though. Or it's
Yeah,
20%. I
it
can't
is.
do Yo, I
I
can't do math.
but anyway, yeah. So it's
Just want to let you know.
it's the joke that I often make people is I go to a conference like that and everybody's like, "Oh, will you come out to coffee with us?" And
He doesn't drink coffee.
no, I don't. And any other place, any other conference I go to, anything else, it's like, "Sir, can we take your order?" And I'm like, "That's the world. That's the world that I live in, and it's fine. I like it. It works for me."
Funny. Well, that's good. That means that the dates are going to be okay then for Comic-Con. I'm glad you're going to be
Yeah,
at Comic-Con
yeah.
too then. Are
For
you going
like,
to sign off for the second time?
Don't you need to go home?
Yes, that's what I just said. Are you going to sign off for a second time?
Oh, shoo.
this has been Bonehead Weekly yet again.
This has
So
been,
I
hold on.
never end the show.
This has been Bonehead Weekly once again.